NewsTalkSTL.
School bus driver in a traffic jam, staring at the faces in a rearview mirror, looking at the promise of the promised land. One kid dreams of fame and fortune. One kid helps pay the rent. One could end up going to prison. One just might be president.
Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer.
Only in America.
Randy Tobler
Dreaming in red, white, and blue.
on NewsTalkSTL.
Only in America. When we dream as big as we want to, we all get a chance.
The news. I'm leaving today. I want no friggin' part of it. New York, New York. These Hugo Boss shoes are longing to stray and take an Uber to LaGuardia, ta-ta, New York. I want to wake up in a city that's safe and free.
Well, we talk a lot about the dangers of AI, but in the wake of the Momkami victory, resounding victory the other night, that one, a parody on the old Sinatra, New York, New York, was funny. It caught my attention. It's a full, 2.5? How long is it, producer Jerome? 3 minutes long?
Yeah.
Pretty creative, I have to say. So that's one of the fun parts of AI. It sort of stretches our creativity and makes vision come to reality for those of us who are not so talented with the rest of the production scheme like producer Jerome is. I happen to know he has some unbelievable and as yet not fully aired talents that we know about when it comes to production. So welcome into the Tobler Show in what I think is a bit of a sullen atmosphere in the conservative universe after some resounding victories, albeit in blue jurisdictions, albeit with a lot of gnashing of teeth and wailing in Virginia that I think may have padded that victory a little bit for Spanberger because of the disgruntled federal employers that are either furloughed or fired under Doge or still worried for their jobs. I think I understand that. But even in that context, turnout was lousy for the GOP. I think complacency has set in, and it's an alarm call as far as I'm concerned for the conservative brand. It's an alarm call for those who say that in any way, shape, or form, playing nice, compromising, talking with, maybe even talking to, maybe even having any discussion with word processor and computer keystroke with Democrats at this point is fruitless. So what does that tell us about the current standoff, the current shutdown? Well, we'll be talking about that, of course, with our various guests this morning. As we roll along on the program, we're going to have some fun, too. We're going to be talking with Edward Bartlett. Now, he's the guy who founded an organization called SAVE, and it's sort of a fun diversion because I really didn't realize this, but, there's been a lot of people, you guys got to listen up to this. And gals, I hope you don't get too mad at me for having some fun with this, but there's this guy who he's claiming that a lot of the GOPers are being in the GOP world, high profile people, Marjorie Taylor Greene and others are selectively sort of dissing guys when they're criticizing various elements of our culture, of our politics. And, he's sort of a defender of us guys. We are under siege after all. You know how that is, Jerome. I know how beat up and bruised you're feeling being a guy this morning. You know how it is?
Yeah.
But I think it is true when you look at some of the things all the way back from the Duke rape case to many of the other aspects in these United States. And I think many conservative women would agree. There's been quite a movement among women to say, wait a minute, the feminist movement has gone awry. We've lost our masculine male. We've lost that alpha male that will provide us with physical security, that will give us, maybe that good old make America masculine again kind of a thing that I think a lot of women miss with the feminist beta male movement. You see them marching in the streets with the blue hairs and the trans and the whatever during the marches, and so we'll have some fun talking with Edward Bartlett at 7:05. We talked to Susie Moore, however, before that, and we'll have a lot of fun talking with Susie, who now you hear Monday through Friday on the program, or on Mike Ferguson's program. And it's always great to see her doing that, and of course reading all of her great work. So we want to talk with her about the Supreme Court arguments on the tariffs, because that's going to have a serious impact. If those tariffs are rolled back, God help us, because I don't know how we unwind a lot of what's come out of that, good and bad. So we'll have to sort that out with Susie, some of the legal arguments that went on, and whether the Solicitor General Sauer, formerly from Missouri, how he did there. We'll talk with Virginia Kruta at 7:25. And then we talk with Tony Holland, who's a health insurance entrepreneur expert, to help us all navigate what's the real truth. What's the real truth of the underbelly of the health insurance world? And while we keep hearing a lot of just a lot of consternation, Chuck Schumer now wanting to extend the tax benefits, those extended tax subsidies for those probably 10 to 20 million people who are on Obamacare. And what does it mean for the rest of us who, admittedly, per the Democrats, have unaffordable health care, but yet they want to make it affordable for the Obamacare exchange people? If you're on an Obamacare exchange, perhaps it matters to you, but I'll imagine most of you aren't. But yet we know it's unaffordable. How come you're not getting a subsidy? How come I'm not getting it? What's that all about? We're shutting the government down? Air traffic controllers calling in sick, shutting down airports because a fraction of the American public is not getting a subsidy, a socialist redistributionist subsidy for an unaffordable, broken health insurance plan that doesn't work in their behalf anyway, for the most part. I mean, tell me how that makes any sense. We'll talk with Tony Holland at the 8:00 hour, so you want to stay tuned for that. And we welcome we love all of your posts on the Rumble and on the YouTube, and you don't post on YouTube, right, Jerome? You post on Facebook, right?
You can comment on YouTube, because somehow, some way, we have not been kicked off yet. So you're not trying hard enough, Doc.
Don't worry. Don't goad me into that. I will do it. Don't bait me for YouTube censorship and canceling. So yeah, look, I've been thinking a lot about this. We got to talk about this shutdown and where the Republicans are in this point in time. I now hear reporting that out in Seattle? It's either Seattle, Portland, one of those Northwest kooky progressive towns, that an insurgent candidate for mayor might dethrone the already progressive and leftist mayor. We saw what happened in New York City. We saw that Virginians voted in. I mean, James, the guy who wanted to see the House of the Speaker dead, a bullet through his head, wanted to see his wife carrying their dead babies, and then all three of them dead. And they elected this guy to be Attorney General. Think that through, ladies and gentlemen. What that tells me is there is an electorate, a large part of the American electorate, people that are in your neighborhood, people that you work with, maybe people in your family, who are not unsympathetic with that line of thought. They have been so infected with TDS on the one hand, and they've been so deluded with the promise of socialism, Marxism, communism, and the promise of redistribution, because it's just not fair that some people make more money than others, that they'll vote for a guy like Jay James, that they'll vote for a guy like Mom Kami. You see what happens in our Ivy League institutions, formerly great halls of education where there was vigorous debate. People learned about Marxism. Some adapted it, but most learned that it was not the right way to go. Empirically, we know that from history. The biggest despots, the biggest murderers in the world, that wasn't Hitler, albeit Hitler's atrocities. It was Stalin and Mao with fallen bodies. It was Stalin and Mao. Last time I checked, they weren't Nazi fascists. They were communists. But there's a large part of your network, ladies and gentlemen, who will vote for those kind of people. Now, they have a legitimate grievance, don't get me wrong, and the Republicans, moderate Republicans over the years have been partially responsible for that because they haven't showed leadership, and part of what leadership means is educating people and bringing them onto a fruitful and productive way of thinking and getting them on a team to do the right thing. So there's been a problem there. Politicians have, for too long, and Mamkami is a perfect example of this. Donald Trump, in a way, and others in his own way, has been guilty of that. He doesn't want to touch Social Security. He doesn't want to touch Medicare. I mean, now finally he's saying we need to do something with health care. He hasn't said Medicare. He said health care, which I find very interesting. But the modern humanist politician populist, more prominent on the left than the right, will listen to the primal instincts of people that will steal, that will manipulate. That's our primal instinct. It's called sin, to do whatever it takes to get what I want that you have, right? Because not everyone lives the Judeo-Christian ethic. But that said, there's enough people that will vote for enough leftist Marxist politicians, and they will stop at nothing to see that end met. They will use any means, including shutting the government down, to push forth a plan and support a plan that is on its fumes in terms of its long-term success. Obamacare has been an abysmal failure. And the important thing to remember is that the Democrats were 2 votes shy of breaking the filibuster when they were last in power during Biden, before the 2024 election. And a couple of senators named Manchin and Sinema, had it not been for their votes, the Democrats would have done what the Republicans are now afraid to do. Think that through. Last time I checked, Jerome, can you check with Gemini, Grok, ChatGPT? Would you see if Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema are in the Senate? Can you just do a quick fact check on that? And let me know.
I'm on it, boss.
Well, they're not. And I guarantee you that given the chance, and their chance will come if the Republicans don't do what I am advising them to do. Are you listening, Eric? Are you listening, Josh? Are you listening, Leader Thune? Are you listening, all you Republicans that, we don't want to break the filibuster, because then the deliberative nature of the Senate, the brakes on the people, on the wild aspirations of the House that is the Senate, and the moderation, we'll lose that, and the Democrats will do whatever the Democrats want to do. The Democrats were 2 votes shy of doing it, and those votes are gone. So if you don't do it first, and if you don't take the opportunity to show the American public what Barry Goldwater, Ronald Reagan, he wasn't that perfect either, Pat Buchanan, you name it, true American small r republicanism with a touch of Cato thrown in, that's libertarianism. If you don't take the opportunity now to break that filibuster, get the government back to work, immediately pass voter ID, 1 or at most 2-day voting, no mail-in voting, and you can see where I'm headed with this. If you don't take the opportunity to blow it up, do exactly what the Democrats want to do, which is blow our system up, but rebuild it in a Marxist way, all will be lost. This is 4th and 17. If you watched the Kansas City Chiefs game last week, And it's you got to throw that 17-yard pass and make a first down, because if you don't, the game is over. You're going to lose the midterms. You're going to lose the Senate in 28. You're going to lose the presidency because Donald Trump will be dead in the water. Now's the time to show the public the stark contrast between New York City and Momkami leadership and what small R republicanism looks like. Now's the time. Bust the unions. Make it illegal. The next day, you make it illegal to have federal workers unionized. And the day after that, you can see where I'm going with this. The day after that, you say, Medicare recipients, we're going to give you your $12,000 average spend. You go out and pay cash for stuff and buy a major medical policy or enroll in one of your faith-based or other healthcare sharing plans. Healthcare GoFundMe on a massive scale. It'll work. It'll work. It sounds radical, but you're looking at radical, progressive, Marxist, the inexorable push towards that. You're looking towards everything that the Democrats weren't able to do because of Manchin and Sinema, and they will do if you continue to pussyfoot around and don't show the people what real conservatism looks like. Back with Susie Moore in a few minutes. We'll see what she thinks of that. On News Talk STL 1019 94.1. Good Saturday morning to you.
I want my Republican colleagues to give me one thing that I can go campaign on and say we did.
News, analysis, opinion.
We refer to it by its more accurate description, the Hate America rally.
We're a democracy in America. We have no kings, despite the fact that Trump has even said he wants to become one.
Showing up to express dissent. That's as American as motherhood, baseball, and apple pie.
They're blocking the National Guard from being deployed out here.
George Soros and his network is behind funding these rallies.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We don't want kings in America.
St. Louis is number one
for conservative talk.
Looking for the best selection of firearms in the St. Louis region? Drive to Osage County Guns. Conveniently located off I-70, just 25 minutes from St. Charles. We've got thousands of guns in stock, the largest selection of handguns, rifles, and shotguns around. Trade in or sell your old guns for cash and shop our wide variety of premium Winchester ammunition made right here in the USA. Visit us online at ocgmo.com, or better yet, make the drive to Osage County Guns and see why we're the St. Louis region's favorite.
JC's Wayback Machine.
It is going to be a cold weekend, but we're going to visit with Jenna Fisher from The Office. That should warm things up. I left Washington, D.C. 43 years ago this week. I'm going to tell you about the two enormous movie stars I ran into on my final day there. And as always, great songs you know and love, but that don't get played on the radio anymore. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9. News Talk STL.
What if there was a one-stop shop for all your healthcare needs and no insurance was needed? At Bell Healthcare, we make wellness simple. Optimize the patient's life. Struggling with weight loss? We offer proven programs, including GLP-1 treatments like semaglutide. Need hormone therapy? We've got personalized plans for both men and women. Nagging pain or injuries? Chiropractic and regenerative medicine are available. Ready to take control of your health? Visit bellhealthcare.net today and get optimized.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Are you searching for an excellent new vehicle or a great deal on a used one? Then check out Tyler Trineri, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Tim Jones here to tell you what loyal Tyler Trineri customers already know. Every new vehicle and select used ones come with an exclusive lifetime warranty. And Tyler Trineri has a service department second to none. I should know. I've been a loyal and happy customer for years. For the best price, selection, and the amazing lifetime warranty, check out Tyler Trineri today, right off Interstate 44 in beautiful Pacific, Missouri. Online at tylertrineri.com, tylertrineri.com. RedState.com.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com.
It's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and you are listening to Randy Tobler right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Why? Because you're awesome.
At this point in time, he's 100% correct. The Democrats purged the last two senators who held out and supported the filibuster. So we know they have no respect for the filibuster. I don't think there will be a Democrat Senate candidate running for office that won't pledge to, again, end the filibuster. So we need to strike first. Now, when the Democrats eliminate the filibuster, it'll all be about their maintenance of power, as the president laid out there. It'll be more senators packing the Supreme Court. It'll all be about their action.
All right. Well, there's Ron Johnson, who, as I was trying to wrestle with this shutdown and the trepidation over if they break the filibuster, then it'll be used against us. And then he made it crystal clear. I forgot they would have done it. It had already been not an issue. Had it not been for Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin, last time I checked, they're not there. Well, let's check with Susie Moore. You're here on News Talk STL every morning with Mike Ferguson in the morning. And, of course, she's the deputy editor on RedState as well. Susie, when I heard Ron Johnson say that, I thought, you know what? They're not going to even blink before they break the filibuster. So why don't we break the filibuster, reform health care, make same-day voting, do all the things that small R Republicans need to do to prove to America just how great conservatism is. Midterms will be a sweep. We'll be in power forever, all for the right reasons. Should I take off my rose-colored glasses or what?
Maybe a little bit. I do think it's a fair question, and I think that Ron Johnson is making a very good point there, and I understand why that is being discussed, because obviously that is what is holding up the government being reopened and getting over that 60 vote threshold when there is an issue that the party that's not in power wants to really force. It can be, we're what, on day 38 or 9? It can be seemingly insurmountable. So I understand the impulse. I also understand the hesitation. There's the conventional wisdom is, but when we're not in power, it's going to be used against us. Yes. However, as you pointed out, as Johnson pointed out there, the chances of it not being removed when and if the Democrats ever regain power are between slim and none. And the only Democratic senator who is kind of filling the Sinema Manchin role right now is John Fetterman.
Yeah, and that's not enough. It just won't be enough. Susie, I've always been wary of radical rules changes, right? When Harry Reid pulled it, because I do recognize that sort of brake on the accelerator that is the people's house, right? Little brake on that. So, but by the same token, I just have this eerie feeling that, and I understand all of the context of the election on Tuesday, but if you look at the way women voted, if you looked at the way blacks voted, there are a lot of I think people, and you see it in the polling, people that I think came into the Trump tent in 24 who may have some buyer's remorse. They don't see prices going down. They don't really see energy prices significantly down. They don't, most America, well, not most, but a good plurality of Americans, 40% or more, don't have a 401k. So talk about Wall Street doesn't mean a thing to them. Two plastic bags of groceries at Walmart or wherever, Schnucks or Dearborn, cost $50 now, and it cost $25 or $30 just a few years ago. I think we're at this point where if we don't grab the bull by the horns, do some serious reform when it comes to health care, and not subsidizing a broken system, I'm just afraid that people come midterms are going to say, we're done with you Republicans. I'm sorry, I'm desperate, especially single family households, which are mostly women. I mean, I just think that I just don't see positive if we don't do something radical and throw that Hail Mary, hopes that someone catches it in the end zone.
Yeah, I think that's why you're seeing this sort of call from President Trump, because he recognizes his agenda is on the line. And the midterms are critical. I mean, if either or both houses go to the Dems in the midterms, that's pretty much the end of his administration, because he's not going to be able to do any of the agenda items that he wants to, which is why I think he's been pushing so hard, so quickly this term. And on top of that, I mean, we can expect impeachment alusa. So I do think that it is really, the Republicans really need to be very strategic and smart about this. And I think that they are being, I will give them credit where, in years past, we would have seen, I think, the Republicans cave a lot sooner and not stand firm on the shutdown. They have stayed together on it, and that's a credit to Leader Thune and to Speaker Johnson for basically keeping their caucuses together. But we're in a pretty precarious spot.
Talking to Susie Moore, you hear her every morning on Mike Ferguson in the Morning and RedState Radio as well. I don't know where she gets all the energy. Probably a little bit of some Trump juice, because she also deputy editor at RedState, and she's taking care of the dogs too. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
What a way to take care of the dogs. All right. Well, I just think that the table is shifting, and people are. It's all about the economy now again. Now that it's really not so much about immigration, the jobs are tumbling. Yes. Now, October over October, we've lost more jobs last October, more layoffs than since like in 22 or 23 years. AI is now an existential threat to I think America's job market. That's not going to help things any. And so it's just another argument against that. Now, on top of that, the Supreme Court hears arguments on Wednesday. And from what I heard from Gorsuch, I mean, and he's like, well, wait a minute, once you give this power to the president and you take it away from the legislature, that's what he implied, Mr. Sauer. It's Katie bar the door, and then Justice Roberts used that T word, tax, which to me makes me think he's thinking Obamacare thoughts again, He's using, I don't know where are you optimistic that they're not going to somehow make Trump unwind these tariffs? And what does that mean for the economy?
Well, I will not say I'm optimistic. I will say that my sense on this is that they're going to find some sort of compromise ruling that everyone's going to be upset with in some way, shape, or form, but that's not going to completely hamstring the Trump administration. And I think the Trump administration has to be ready for that. They know that they pushed the envelope with this. They were really pushing the edges of this statutory interpretation to invoke it and implement it the way that they did. And they were using it not just as not just as an end in and of itself, but as a tool, a bargaining tool to get these other countries to the table, and that they have gotten them to the table. So my sense is what may end up happening is the court may say, the statute isn't really drafted to contemplate what's being done here. We're not going to undo what was done, but we think it needs to be clarified going further forward. And that's one of the things that this court has been pretty consistent about. When it's something that Congress is, it's within their authority and their realm, and they've tried to delegate that authority to other agencies or to the executive branch, this court has not been shy about saying, hey, you know what, do a better job drafting your legislation. If you're going to delegate that authority away, you need to be clear about it. So I kind of feel like we're going to end up with a decision that kind of wraps Congress on the nose, restrains the executive a little bit, but doesn't necessarily force an unwind of everything that's already been done.
All right. Well, that's good, because I only heard bits and pieces and heard some of the sound bites. I heard some skepticism from Gorsuch and Roberts. And maybe you can explain, because you listen to these things much more fully and with a much more informed perspective, obviously, than any of us here. But is that just sort of the back and forth and the lawyers playing their lawyer game? Some lawyers in robes, others in suits, and they all have to puff out their chest and show how smart they are and give the adversarial thing. Is that just lawyer games, but it doesn't tell us much about what they were really thinking?
Well, I don't know if I characterize it as lawyer games as much as it is part of the process. In other words, you're going to get probing questions. If you're arguing a case before an appellate court, whether it's the Supreme Court or an intermediate appellate court, you're going to get very probing questions. And that's because those judges, before they issue a decision, they want to make sure they've looked at every angle of it and make sure that they render a decision that contemplates all the potential ins and outs. So it's an intellectual exercise,
okay.
And it is probing. The fact that they might be very, there might be a kind of a heated exchange doesn't in and of itself guarantee what the outcome is going to be. But I can guarantee you one thing. The 3 liberal justices are going to find that the president exceeded his power.
Okay, so that we can count on. I think I hear what you're saying maybe there's another very savvy ploy to this. And I think it's an honorable one. Let me test this on you. And we do this a lot on this program. I know you do too. I think it's important, especially conservatives in a radical TDS world as well. You have to have credibility, right? And you lose credibility if you're just in your own echo chamber and you don't play devil's advocate, right? I mean, that's important to give yourself credibility. So should you end up landing on your side of the fence where you started, at least you climbed over the fence and spent a little other time on the other guy's turf. And I like it better on this side of the fence, right? Maybe that's what's going on too. Huh?
Absolutely. That's a very good way of putting it. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, now on another note, I mean, look, it's possible that you never know what Roberts, and I don't know, sometimes Amy Coney Barrett, sometimes I don't know where she's going, but it's possible that it could end up that they unroll these tariffs or they say, look, I don't know, but if they were to come down with a decision that really said he overstepped his authority, wouldn't they want to make that decision sooner rather than later? Because unwinding more rather than less would certainly be less harmful to the economy, because it would be weird. I mean, if I'm a distributor here who received some shipment containers and paid tariffs and has absorbed the tariffs, the first thing I'm going to do is be knocking at Scott Bessette's door if it gets unwound and say, hey, I want my tariff money back. I want a refund. What a disaster, right. Susie.
Yeah.
Couldn't they do it sooner or do they have to wait till the end of the term?
Oh, no, they can do it sooner. So people don't realize this because the big cases usually end up with the decisions coming down late in the term. But this is early in the term. And if they hear a case in October or early November, they could issue a decision as soon as December or January. And they do issue decisions that early. This is going to be one that's going to take a little bit longer just because of its complexity.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't expect it before the end of the year. It could come in January, maybe February, but it's not going to wait. So they're probably not going to wait on it till June.
All right. In the last couple minutes we have, yesterday, late afternoon, the Supreme Court, actually it was KJB, who did a stay on the appellate, or I don't know how it works. Anyway, the Trump administration was going to pay partial SNAP benefits. A court told them to pay all of the benefits. They challenged it, and I guess right now, based on the Supreme Court decision, they put a stay on the appellate order to pay the rest of the benefits. So right now, is it just a matter of we're back to where we were on Monday?
We're back to where we were on Monday for 48 hours. So just you've got most of it, the gist of it there. The district court judge, John McConnell, is the one who ordered them to, paying partial isn't good enough. You're going to have to figure out a way and pay all of them. They appealed it to the First Circuit Court of Appeals, and the First Circuit Court of Appeals says, well, we're going to leave his order in place while we look at this closer. We're going to rule in a couple of days or as soon as we can on your formal ask for a stay, but we're not there yet. But we're not going to press pause on him. So that's why they ran to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, okay, for 2 days, we're pressing pause on that Judge McConnell's order while the First Circuit figures out what it's going to do. So it's a lot of ping pong. It's a lot of back and forth. It's ridiculous because you know what the answer is to it? Hey, 5 Democrats, vote to open the government.
Yeah. No, it's so simple. It's so simple. And they want to, I can't believe that they want a 1-year extension on subsidies for a plan that they themselves admit is broken. That's why it needs subsidies. I mean, they're saying, yep, we spawned an unaffordable health care plan, and we need taxpayers to subsidize it to make it affordable for a fraction of Americans. The rest of Americans have to continue being unaffordable. I mean, it is the most irrational, delusional argument they make. And yet, Susie, back to my original point, enough Americans are buying that bilge that it's almost tied in the Senate. Think about that. I mean, that's the problem.
I agree, but I'm going to be a little cynical here, and I don't think it's really about those subsidies. I think it's about damaging the Trump brand and the Republican brand as much as they possibly can with the limited power they have right now.
Well, that's like telling someone, I like dry rub barbecue and I'm going to make you have dry rub barbecue, but I'm sorry, I'm forcing some good old-fashioned sloppy, lathered with sauce barbecue, and you're going to love it. And when you do, that's the Republican speaking, you're going to want more of it. We need to show them what good conservatism looks like. That's my stance. I know Susie will share. Susie will show hers. Will share hers with you later today and every day on News Talk. Thanks, Susie. Appreciate it. Say hi to the dogs.
Thanks, Randy. Have a great day. Will do.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Great analysis with Susie Moore. She's so well informed and so analytical on these things, but yet also gives that intuitive insight, which is what we love about Susie's and all of her. She does a thing every day on RedState that's beautiful. Where really a nice summary of all of what's going on. It's a beautiful, beautiful compendium. She's my drudge. I use that drudge. She's my surrogate drudge every day. Let's break aside while I get my voice back, and then we'll come back and take some phone calls. Keep watching the screen. 314-912-1019 on News Talk STL 1019 94.1. The Tobler Show. Be back.
What's the matter with you? I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
In the media.
1019 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Looking for treasures from the past? Discover Mimi's Antiques Attic, your locally owned and family-operated treasure hunt destination. Explore 16,000 square feet of antiques, crafts, collectibles, and designer items across 225 unique rental spaces. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sundays, 10 to 6 at 1000 Warrenton Shops in Warrenton. Mimi's Antiques Attic, where every visit uncovers new treasures.
Hey, it's Susie Moore with a reminder that for 20 years, Harpo's Chesterfield has been the heart of West County's fun. With their award-winning patio, voted best in West County, and excellent sports bar atmosphere, Harpo's is your one-stop destination. The mouth-watering menu has made them famous throughout St. Louis. Plus, they've got great drink specials and the friendliest, most energetic staff around. Whether you're dining in or carrying out, Harpo's delivers fun, food, and drinks like no one else. Harpo's Chesterfield. Call 636-537-1970 or visit harposstl.com.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
Constant fatigue, brain fog, autoimmune flares. You might be fighting a hidden viral reactivation. I'm Dr. Brian Deloney with Simply Health Integrated Medical. Join me this weekend as we expose Epstein-Barr virus, the stealth disruptor behind fatigue and inflammation. Don't miss it.
Simply Health, Saturdays at noon on News Talk STL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
Hey, Columbo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
Hi, Chris Arps here. Join me and the team at Royal Banks of Missouri for their annual Economic Forecast Breakfast. The event takes place on Tuesday, November 18th at the factory in the district of the Chesterfield Valley. You'll hear from their experts and get a better understanding of what to expect from the U.S. economy in 2026 and beyond. Doors open at 7:30 a.m. and the program starts at 8 a.m. Attendance is free, but you do need to reserve a spot. You can RSVP by calling 314-212-1595. That's Royal Banks of Missouri.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show, is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com.
Waiting for the break of day.
This is Larry Connors. Right now, you're listening to Dr. Randy Tobler. Informative, engaging, enjoy. And I invite you to listen to the Larry Connors USA Daily Report, Monday through Friday at 6.
Welcome back into the Tobler Show. Good, brisk fall morning to you. It's going to really plummet, I think, tomorrow or into Monday. It's going to get a lot colder. So the deer are moving for you deer hunters. We've had some fun at our farm. Hope that everyone stays safe with their deer hunting. It looks like Gene, the talk show machine is on. How you doing, Gene? Welcome into the program.
Hey, I'm good. Jerome, Chicago, good bumper music, buddy. Just wanted to comment exactly. I think Susie Moore hit it on the head of the nail, with one exception. I think also that there's some Republicans laying in wait up there that don't want Trump to be successful. And that's really sad.
Wow.
The old guard rhinos sitting there swimming around in the water waiting for our opportunity to get back to their old way of doing business.
Well, Gene, I think your analysis may play into what I think we're talking about here, and that in a way, the reason that it probably in the end would not work out well if they broke the filibuster just to get the government running. I think without the both and that the and is, look, you get the government open, you basically say we're going to break the filibuster, and it's not really about getting the government open. Fine, we're going to do that. But you thought that the Doge cuts were tough. You ain't seen anything yet, because we are by statute now 50+1, no filibuster. Department of Education, bye-bye. By statute, we are going to pass national same-day voting, no mail-in ballots, no early voting. Bye-bye. I mean, just see draconian in all the right ways. Sweeping conservative reform. I just don't think they have the cojones to do it. They may not even have the votes to do it because of the likes of Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. You know what I mean? I just don't think they have it. So I'm talking theoretically here, and it's a wish and it's a unicorn model, but boy, oh boy, I think if they were willing to just get through Obamacare is now defined as major medical, to where you have to have minimal coverage to cover emergency room visits, cancer, transplants, prolonged hospital stays. Make it, maybe you have to buy a bronze, silver, or gold plan, or a platinum major medical. And by the way, we're going to make 1099 workers and small business people can deduct their own health insurance. You don't have to be employer held. What is this about? Only employers can deduct the cost of healthcare insurance from their revenues. What's that all about? How about Uber drivers? Why can't they buy a health care plan and have it deductible? They could do so many things with health care and do it on a 50+1 vote. That would be game-changing for the American people. Your turn.
It would be, but they don't. I don't think they've got the dadgum spine to do it. Even if they had complete control of everything, they're like a bunch of scaredy cats, afraid of their own cotton picking shadow. It's like, get the job done. And as far as ending the shutdown with filibuster, it truly is a conundrum. But boy, I tell you, Democrats wouldn't think twice about it, as you had documented audibly a few minutes ago.
What's this with? Let me ask you this. One of the big pathological underbellies of our system, and I hope I'm not rubbing too many, I'm not, hurting too many people's feelings here, but whatever. I've done it before and I'll do it again. We should not have federal worker government unions. People that work for the government, that work for you and I, should not be unionized. Now, if they want to unionize and work for UPS is not existentially important to my existence. If they want to unionize and pipe fitters and whatever, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But people that work for my government that I support directly without choice with my taxpayers, you should not have the option of being in a union if you work for the government. I'm sorry. It's so wrong. It's so fundamentally wrong, because those unions then fund government politicians that continue to develop the deep state. Should be the second thing they do, is outlaw union government worker unions. What's wrong with that idea?
I agree completely. The most important person that's not at the bargaining table with the government unions is we, the taxpayer. I agree completely. That nonsense has got to go. But boy, you would see so many people, especially, I'll use the word, I've seen it myself, SEIU people and stuff, absolutely up in air about, you can't do this, that, and the other thing. It's
which people?
The Service and Employee International.
Yeah, well,
Union.
Sorry, guys.
That's right.
Sorry. I mean, I'm not in a union. I have to find my way in this world. And there's a lot of things I wish doctors would unionize. I wish respiratory therapists would unionize, maybe for their own good, but we don't, because we do a public service. And in essence, we're, union government workers, because of Medicare and Medicaid. Okay, whatever. Yeah. I mean, but I just, look, if they don't grab the bull by the horns, and that requires busting the filibuster, they are not going to be able to advance an agenda that is good for the American people. It's good for freedom. Americans have forgotten what freedom's like. They've become so dependent, from farmers dependent on agricultural subsidies and food stamp programs that make a market for their goods. I'm sorry, farmers, if I'm offending you. Doctors and administrators of hospitals that are making bank on Medicaid and Medicare programs, and consultants. You consultants that are making bank on all the Obamacare compliance. Let me not leave you out of the game. But you know what? You'd be in a better place. You'd be happier. You wouldn't have to worry about government bureaucrats and calling and checking all the boxes. You could do what you're really meant to do. You could go to work for entrepreneurial companies, you accountants and consultants and lawyers. You could do all that instead of trying to, help people find all the loopholes and all the way to manipulate all the government programs, because we all know how to manipulate the government programs. Wow.
That's right. Except a lot of the people that you mentioned at the after part of that conversation, AI is going to replace them. That's another topic.
Well, yeah. And you know what? When they told us, all of those people, all the white collar workers who were part of the healthcare bureaucracy, who told us, Dr. Tobler, when you deliver a baby, when you do a surgery, this is what we've determined you can charge for it, because we have Medicare and Medicaid, and we're going to price fix. And they live with it, deal with it. And, by the way, we're going to increase your expenses because we're going to demand you have an electronic medical record, because that old paper manila folder and a dictaphone just wasn't work anymore. They said, deal with it. You know what I say to them with a big metaphorical middle finger? Deal with your furlough because of AI. Now you know what it feels like. Thanks a lot for the call, Gene.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Hey, God bless.
You too. I'm sorry, guys. For too long, we've been in one way or another, no matter what your business in, if you intersect with the imperial federal government, you have had the boot of the jackbooted deep state on your neck for way too long. And these Republicans have been a part of dealing with it, which is why they're not going to undo it, unfortunately. I mean, I know I've been talking unicorns and lollipops and rainbows here. I know that. But hey, sorry, give me a break. It's Saturday morning. Oh, I wish it coulda, shoulda, woulda been that way. But they didn't listen to the Rand Pauls. They didn't listen to the Thomas Masseys. They didn't elect the Barry Goldwaters. And look at where we're at now. How's it working out for everyone out there? Break the filibuster, show them what small r, return the power and the money to the people at the state level, and go back to the enumerated powers in the most beautiful document ever made in this civilization that we call the planet Earth, and that's the U.S. Constitution. Restore those principles, with the exception of, we made a mistake with slavery, but with that exception, and they wanted to break it back then, they almost did it. Go back to those principles and all will be well. Fat chance of that, huh? When we come back, Edward Bartlett, let's have some fun.
Waiting for the break of day, searching for something to say.
I just checked the events planned at Lit Cigar Lounge, so I'm planning a lot of time there. Top of the line cigars, premium whiskey. Check out litstl.com and join me. Hey, and if we get hungry, Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta, just a few doors down. We can order from the menu, be at our table within minutes. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield Valley, and Lit Cigar Lounge, litstl.com.
Hey, it's Vic. If you have a tree that you think is dead, you can get Roots Plus to remove it for you. Or if you think the tree is savable, or if Roots Plus thinks it's savable, they can save your tree and you keep your cash. Call them and find out what that's all about at 314-440-3662. The crews are great. They get things done. They removed the tree for me, and they did expert work, and I definitely will put my name on their company. So save the tree with Roots Plus LLC, rootsplusllc.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for O'Fallon Family Floors, o'fallonfamilyfloors.com. Brian and his team, they're just amazing people. They're so proud of their operation. Pride in every installation. You can see that in the Google reviews. Pride in the great quality, pride in the great pricing, pride in the great variety, and pride in the fact that you can go into the store right off of Highway K in O'Fallon, or the store will come to you. That's the promise of O'Fallon Family Floors, o'fallonfamilyfloors.com.
When precision matters, trust the experts who live and breathe firearms. Full Circle Reloading and Firearms. Veteran-owned and operated by competitive shooters who know what it takes to win. From reloading supplies and accessories to custom rifles and cutting-edge night vision, we've got everything you need. Plus, get precision rifle training from the pros. Full Circle Reloading and Firearms. 923 South 5th Street in St. Charles, or visit FullCircleReloading.com.
Fall rebates are here at Johnson Heating and Cooling. Save up to $600 off your new heating and cooling system. Plus, get a free humidifier when you purchase a complete system. And here's the best part. We're offering up to 0% financing for 60 months. That means you can stay comfortable all winter without breaking the bank. Don't forget our $99 furnace checkup. These incredible offers expire November 30th. Call 636-332-4141 or visit johnson-heatingandcooling.com.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli, and my favorite sandwich from Capriati's is the Wagyu beef French dip. So good. It's the au jus that makes it. And the Wagyu beef is pretty good, too. I love Capriati's, and you will, too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
We are the Veterans Health Administration, and our hands provide life-changing care to over 9 million veterans across more than 1,200 facilities nationwide. Join hands with us to make an impact in your community. Learn more at vacareers.va.gov.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The Jewish reaction to the election of New York's first Muslim mayor, swift and strong.
Mamdani's main rival, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, received roughly 60% of the Jewish vote, according to the AP voter poll. Throughout his campaign, Mamdani was steadfast in his criticism of Israel's military conduct in Gaza, depicting it as a genocide targeting Palestinians. But he denounced the October 7th, 2023 Hamas attack on Israel and denied suggestions that he is insufficiently opposed to anti-Semitism.
That is Walter Ratliff reporting. The Supreme Court has granted the administration's emergency appeal to temporarily block a court order to fully fund SNAP food aid payments amid the government shutdown.
A judge had given the Trump administration until Friday to make the payments through the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. But the administration asked an appeals court to suspend any court orders requiring it to spend more money than is available in a contingency fund. After the appeals court declined to immediately intervene, the High Court issued an order.
Public policy expert Matthew Continetti says the GOP needs to articulate their cost of living agenda.
I think also more attention to falling gas prices. That's good, but we also have to form some type of agenda to make sure that healthcare costs and housing costs fall as well.
A beach baby shark meets a good Samaritan.
Colleen Dunn was walking her dogs along a beach in Manzanita, Oregon.
There is a baby shark.
It was a small salmon shark, which was suffocating in the low tide area near the shoreline. At first, Dunn thought it was a baby great white. With her dogs waiting patiently, she grabbed the 3-foot shark by the tail. Dunn rushed it to deeper water. She was capturing it all on video. The shark was able to push water through its gills once again and then swam out of view.
And this is SRN News.
Whether you're climbing the corporate ladder, launching a new project, or just looking for that extra edge, your brain is your most valuable asset. Now there's a way to support it every single day. Think Factor. From the makers of Relief Factor, Think Factor is built to help you stay sharp, nurture your memory, boost your attention. It unlocks the mental clarity and precision you need to stay ahead of the game, no matter the challenge. After a few weeks of taking Relief Factor, I noticed a dramatic difference in my focus, my memory, my concentration. And look, the longer you take Think Factor, the better it works. This is not a one-off. You want to take Think Factor regularly. If you're a go-getter who refuses to settle, Think Factor can help you perform at your best and keep your edge. Call 800-4RELIEF. That's 800-4RELIEF, or just visit ReliefFactor.com to order Think Factor. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Your first bottle is just $19.95. Think Factor. Think clearer, perform better.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at SerenityLTC.com.
Hi, I'm Helene Tobler, culinary nutritionist at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Here we do practical wellness. Dr. Randy and I have a common sense approach to healthcare. My passion is helping our members enjoy better nutrition because food is medicine. We approach problems with a lifestyle foundation and cutting-edge medical tool chest. At Body of Health, it's about being your healthiest you. If you want to experience healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Steph's Pizza. You know the name. They're famous for their St. Louis-style pizza. But don't forget their party platters for the holidays. Steph's sandwiches, pasta, and pizza are always big hits at any get-together. And the party platters make it easy. 3 great locations, St. Peter's on Jugeman, in St. Charles on Zumbill, and their newest location in Lake St. Louis at 111 Ponfort Trail. Check them out at steffspizza.com, steffspizza.com. And remember, tonight's a good night for Steff's Pizza.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Monday is the 250th anniversary of the United States Marines. To celebrate, we'll have 2 of our favorite Marines, Larry Connors and Paul Kurtman. Celebrate the Marines Monday morning.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Leave a late show, still feeling alive. Want a place to go, round about the fire. Down to the doctor, down to the doctor.
Hey, it looks like you like to get up early, so Monday through Friday, listen to me from 5:30 to 9. Mike Ferguson here, and you are listening to the Randy Tobler Show right here on News Talk STL.
Who was dressed in all black and accessorized with a pair of dangling earrings.
No, now he knows how to be a man, right? Now he knows how to be a man. Stay out of the women's locker room. He needs to have his gym membership revoked for that. And the woman told you. He assaulted me. The girl told already. We already filed reports. You can't get rid of me for this. I'm a woman and I have every right to not want a man in the restroom when I'm naked. There are girls naked.
All right. Well, there was Tanya Hyman, whose video went viral as she accosted a man looking pretty mannish to me. Well, I mean, looking like a beta male to me, frankly. I have to be honest with the earrings. But I mean, clearly a man trying to get into the girls' locker room. And then she went out into the lobby, and this is where it's so embarrassing for guys these days. Guys, where have you gone? Bunch of men standing around, and she's like, "Oh, you guys with big whatever, where are you? There's a guy in the girls' locker room," and it begs the question: where is true masculinity? The feminist movement has threatened it. They've used it through the courts, through the academics, and in many cases, men don't have a chance in the divorce courts often. Now, men have their own share of problems too in terms of domestic abuse and so forth, and real domestic abuse. But I think the table has been tilted in a different direction. Let's see what Edward Bartlett says. He's the founder of SAVE, Stop Abusive and Violent Environments. Edward, welcome into the program.
Well, good morning. Great to chat with you.
I think this was a prime example. I mean, the episode itself was bothersome, that somehow it's become normalized that fully endowed guys can walk into a girl's restroom or a locker room in a prison, in a Gold's Gym, in a university, in a high school, and just say, "Hey, I'm feeling like a girl today," and get away with it. But how come men don't feel empowered to sort of make it clear to that guy, maybe that's not the way to act, if you know what I mean with a wink, wink?
My sense is that these men who stand outside are totally opposed to this idea, but our society has created this not only social norms, but also even, will impose legal sanctions on men who do this. I'm not making excuses now, but I think we need to see this in the broader perspective, because our society is in a tumultuous period. Our long-held virtues and beliefs are all being challenged, and I believe it comes from the Marxist assault in our nation.
Now, there is some hope, and there's some statistics out that commitment to marriage these days seems to be rising among young men. Parental aspirations seem to be rising among young men.
Yes.
And so I think there's a realization and awakening among men, maybe many of whom and we have to be very fair and truthful about this. I think we've had a generation of young men who have found themselves in their parents' basements playing video games, and it's been lost on them what manhood and what being truly chivalrous and gracious and a true gentleman, that's lost on them. But I mean, what's happened to women in this world? Are they changing their expectations of men? What say you? I think some of our congresswomen maybe have some different views. No?
Well, let's look at the big picture. There's no doubt that among women, and young women in particular, there has been a dramatic trend towards radicalization among young women. If you look at the vote in the recent Mondami election in New York City, it was primarily women who put him over the top. Men were not as enthusiastic about Mondami as women. And that's not the only example. You can look at just public opinion polls that ask about, your people's general political beliefs. In the last 10, 15 years, women have gone far left, hard left, whereas men have stayed pretty much in the middle or slightly to the right. So we are seeing a bifurcation. It is truly dangerous. It's a threat to the coherency of our society.
Well, and again, I mean, I think this is probably a both and proposition, isn't it, Edward? It's a call for men to be truly decent providers of security, of both physical and I think material. Women want a safe space. Women are physically, generally, I mean, of course, there are exceptions, the weaker sex physically. I mean, we know there's exceptions, but I mean, those norms, those biological realities put enormous responsibility on men to use those advantages physically very responsibly, to protect women, not to dominate over them. But at the same time, I'm worried about, and I think it started with the welfare system, when the women, more and more women have become dependent on the government to be their husband and their children's father.
Yes.
That's a dangerous trend.
There's no doubt about this. Let's call it the cultural assault on men and the cultural upheaval resulting from that. That's been ongoing for 50 years. And I say that because I've been around that period of time. I've seen how the feminist ideology, they've hammered this idea of patriarchy over and over again. And I'm just here to say there is no such thing as patriarchy, because you said it yourself, chivalry. Men are very chivalrous, will do what they can, whether it's in the Titanic giving up their lives or working 60-hour weeks to support their families. Men are amazing in terms of what they will do to self-sacrifice for the benefit of their wives and their families.
Well, I guess most men will, but this is a call for all men to do that, and maybe to start. Although men still in this society should be able to do things to protect women, to protect the wonderful complementary relationship between man and woman. But look at what happened, and it wasn't necessarily a man-woman thing, but look at what happened when that woman got stabbed, that immigrant Ukrainian woman got stabbed and killed on the train in Carolina. Look at what happened with Daniel Penny. And I know Jerome is chomping at the bit on this one, because Jerome, you and I talked about this. Edward, producer Jerome, and I talked about this, about how Edward Penny, my goodness, he did the right thing, but look at what the hell that he underwent.
Mm-hmm. I'll share with you a personal example. I'm an avid bicycle rider, and I was riding my bike on a local trail. This was last year, and a female bicyclist had fallen on her bike, and there she was on the pathway, on the ground, and obviously having a lot of trouble getting up. So I arrive on the scene. There's probably 4 or 5 men standing up around her, but not a single one was touching her to assist her up. I arrived on the scene. I barged in there. I grabbed her by the upper arm. I helped her stand up and so forth. But the amazing part of that is that men have become, threatened so many times by, sexual harassment. You probably heard about that guy. This was just 2 weeks ago, a guy who saw an oncoming car and a woman was crossing the street, about to be hit by the car. The man grabbed her, brought her back so she was not hit by the car. And then he was hit by a harassment complaint. That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know where we've gone in this society. I mean, the conservative women in my life offer as much or more to their family, and when they're in the workplace, in their own womanly way. Oh, they're tremendous multitaskers. As the men in my life offer to their families in their own complementary, biologically appropriate ways, right? And why there's this feminist movement that pretty much men are by default considered, and this is with the radical woke feminists, men are just considered by default some kind of knuckle dragging Neanderthal, abusers. I don't understand. I think we're beginning to see that change. When you see women in the conservative movement, when you see the likes of a Caroline Leavitt, who is full-fledged conservative with her baby in the Oval Office, and that to me is really making a statement that they endorse, I think, more traditional roles between man and woman. And I'm buoyed that maybe things are turning around.
Well, first of all, you emphasized how men and women are playing complementary and mutually supportive roles. That's a critical point to emphasize. But the second point we need to emphasize is Marxist ideology is far more powerful in our society than most people realize, and that Marxist ideology is playing out in how women and feminists, I should say, are portraying men as domestic abusers, as patriarchal oppressors, as misogynists. I mean, they've come up with so many horrible names. And you look at these, it turns out women are just as likely to commit domestic violence as men, and that's according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control. So that's not a made-up claim. Again, patriarchy, there is no such thing as patriarchy. Men are doing everything in their power to assist the women in their lives and women in the world.
Well, you've even made some comments that Republican women might be guilty of a little bit of some identity politics,
Yes.
some gender identity politics, like the likes of Nancy Mace or Marjorie Taylor Greene. Explain.
Yes, so like Nancy Mace, she's actually been in the news a lot because she, a few weeks ago, she accused her 3 men of sexually assaulting her. She provided no evidence, and she didn't take this case to the police. It was just sort of a free-floating accusation. Well, now she's been hit with a defamation lawsuit from one of those 3 men. So Nancy Mace is she's a weird. All I can say, she's a weird character. But why is it that Nancy Mace and a few other Republicans have sort of gotten on the feminist bandwagon? Again, my read is that the feminist ideology has crept into the far corners of our society. People, without even realizing it, people are embracing these like domestic violence. Again, women are just as likely to be perpetrators of domestic violence as men, according to the CDC. But I would say 9 out of 10 people have never heard that fact. They still believe and they think men are the sole perpetrators of domestic abuse. That's just a perfect example how the propaganda has infiltrated our society.
We're talking with Edward Bartlett, the founder of SAVE, and at saveservices.org. Now, we've created quite an interesting firestorm here on the social media comment thread, Edward. And I think it's
wonderful.
interesting how many of our listeners and are saying, well, some are saying, well, wait a minute, what about women's equality in voting and about their rights? Well, I think that's all good. We can acknowledge that women should have voting rights. They should have all of the equal things that they fought for. That's not what this is about. That's not what this is about. This is, I think, yeah. Go ahead and answer that about. This is not even about women not being in the workplace. Now, I happen to think, and I have several. Erica Commissar, who's a parenting and a psychologist. She's written in the Wall Street Journal. She's been on this program. She's an advocate of women taking a pause to raise their children in those young, formative, existentially important years, and then moving back into the workplace. When I was hiring women, if they put a pause in their career and that was in their resume because they took time to raise a family, listen up, all you radical feminists out there. They got credit for that. That was as though they were still in the workforce because they were working harder then than we're in a structured environment. And they just moved on. I viewed that as a feather in their cap. So this nonsense that, somehow we're advocating for women never being in the workplace, forget about it.
Well, the example you just provided of, people on your social media feed, screaming about, the right of women to vote. That's an issue that issue is 100 years old. It was settled 100 years ago. For anybody to raise that issue in 2025 is just flat out dishonest. That is not an issue. Nobody is talking about that concept at all. But what we are talking about is how women have gained more rights in many ways. Domestic violence is a great example. A man who is a victim of domestic violence, when he calls the police will likely laugh at him and may even arrest him, even though he's the victim. I'm just giving you one example of how we have so totally reversed, the notion of truth and fairness in our society.
Well, it's a fascinating discussion, and I knew it would be provocative. We thank you for defending true, authentic, woman respecting, protecting, and I think in many cases providing for, when they want it, manhood. Let's just call it that way. Edward Bartlett, thank you very much. We invite people to spend some time on your website, saveservices.org. Thanks for being with us.
My pleasure. Be in touch.
All right. Well, Jerome, looked like we lit a fire there.
Yeah, what did Helene put in your coffee this morning, Doctor?
No, I mean, my wife's seen this. She's seen this in medicine. She's seen this in academia, where I think sometimes women are actually favorited now by women in positions of power. And, we've seen that, right? Where there's selection bias often. That's part of the DEI thing, where women, minorities are favored when it comes to selection into, various programs or into college admissions, in exclusion of men. And I'm just saying that's great if they're talented. It's fine. I love women. I love taking care of women as a doc. I love my conservative women in my life, and they wouldn't disagree with this discussion. But they all have strong, non-patriarchal men in their lives too. So there you go. Well, Scooter sure is worked up, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he struck a nerve with Kathleen as well.
Oh. Perhaps you men need to change your listening filters. I don't see one woman on this feed screaming. I don't see anyone screaming. I think that we recognize whether it is a woman or whether it is a man or whether it's a black or whether it's a purple or a yellow or a transgender. We just want equal treatment under the law. That's all we want. All right. When we come back, we'll take your phone calls. Or give me a buzz. Let's talk it up. 314. Oh no, we can't. We're going to talk to Virginia Kruta. We'll see. Maybe Virginia audited that last segment. I found it very controversial. We'll see what Virginia says when we come back on the Tobler Show. Stay tuned.
Doctor, You have an unsurpassed talent for understatement.
Number one for live and local.
Conservative talk.
I've been a registered Democrat for 28 years. I'm really glad you're talking about this. You gotta love these idiots out here. They think we're all stupid, I guess.
News, analysis, opinion.
Totally agree on that. I disagree with you.
It's over.
Very upset. Thanks for taking my call. Thanks for taking my call. Thank you for taking my call. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Wanted to ask you really quick. Is there room on the bandwagon for me?
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
So I hear an out-of-towner asking someone, where's the best place to eat? Before they could respond, I said, Cafe Napoli. Where? Well, I said, Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, right next door to Napoli C, and then you got Napoli Kirkwood, plus you got Napoli Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield. You'll find Napoli everywhere. It's not too early to book a party and buy gift cards. Cafe Napoli.
Hey, firearms enthusiast, looking for a family and veteran-owned shop with a wide selection of products and services? Head to DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green. DG Firearms has been your one-stop shop for custom ARs, Cerakoting, laser engraving, gunsmithing, suppressors, ammo, and reloading supplies. DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green, and online at dgfirearmsllc.com.
Retirement planning used to be easy. You put in your 40 years with the company, get the gold watch, and life's good, right? Wrong. Randy Tobler here. Planning for retirement today involves balancing critical decisions regarding your investments, pensions, Social Security, and more. That's why I'm urging you to start planning now. It's also why you should connect with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. They bring a combined 100 years of wealth management experience to help you with your retirement plan. You can hear Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert every Saturday morning at 9 during On the Money here on News Talk STL 1019. Their team is ready to help you design your retirement plan with the care and commitment you deserve. Request your complimentary retirement plan consultation today at clearpathinvesting.com or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company, Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Report cards are a good way to show how well your kids are doing in class and where they might need improvement. We at the Show Me Institute believe schools should get grades too, so parents can see how their child's school compares to others. That's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on categories such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. And now we've added spending data for every district, so parents, taxpayers, and policymakers can see where the money is going. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show, is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. Come hang out with Ken Williams and me every Monday through Friday from 9 to 11. But right now, it's back to the Randy Tobler Show on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Jerome. Boy, have we gotten ourselves into hot water. Woo!
Hey, don't drag me into this. I was silent during that entire conversation, Doctor.
Not on the online messaging, you weren't.
I have to fight off the gremlins and I have to put out the fires you're starting, Doctor.
Now, I got women friends and listeners who are saying we're doing women bashing when I am appealing for a society where men protect women from other predatory men. We didn't quite get to that point, but I hope that was implicit. And in that Gold's Gym, in Randy's society, in a traditional society, the men in that locker room, oh, they'd have made damn sure that guy would have never walked into that woman's locker room again. Trust me.
Well, and here's the thing that I find interesting about some of this, some of the fires that you started.
Oh man,
is
I'm bloodied and bruised.
But we have talked ad nauseum over the years about how men need to be more accountable. Men need to take more responsibility. That we need to do better as we hold ourselves accountable, and that also goes into the fact, though, that there is an issue to some degree with what we permit as a society. And last I checked, society was both man and woman, so it's not just us being bad thing. There are many issues. And my mom was a single mom, and I'm aware of some of the issues that can come with that. I'm aware, I can understand some of the complaints, but I don't think we were woman bashing. We were just explaining that there are multiple sides to the story that need to be fixed.
Well, I think the problem is a lot of men have been essentially emasculated from their ability to do what men are called to do, which is to be the provider, the ultimate security, and the family, the family protector, right? I mean, look, Kimberly Kay, who is a good friend and listens to the show a lot, she said women haven't been protected for centuries. Well, I don't know about centuries, but I know that recently she's talking about rapes in the prisons. I'm sorry. Why are we not giving anti-testosterone or castration therapy to people who are rapists? Wouldn't that be the end of it? To violent criminals, let's make absolutely sure that they are not out on the street again and again and again and again with guys in robes who may need a touch of masculinity to put predatory males away for good in solitary confinement. Why? I'm asking for more protection of women by taking the beta males out of our justice system. That's what I'm asking for. Let's see what Virginia Kruta has to say. Virginia, welcome into the program.
I did not get the memo that we'd switch time. Let me go ahead and get her on the line.
That's okay. We'll get Virginia on the line. We want to give her a different segment so we don't run up against a hard clock. But look, guys and gals, this is just about basically biblical roles, where women are the anchor of the home and of the hearth and keep people together. And currently in our current economic society, largely because of liberal progressive policies on both the left and the right, on the Democrats and the Republicans, that have been allowed to basically not basically provide a safety net because men had not fulfilled their responsibility. There's not justifying dysfunctional males that sit around, watching TV and playing their video games and not doing what they need to do for their family. And there's a lot of them out there. Males who inseminate women and then they vote Democrat because they want easy and cheap abortions around the corner. That's not the kind of male I'm defending, ladies. I'm asking for a restoration of true, authentic, biblical males that protect women and honor women and their ultimate existential, absolutely pivotal role in humanity's ongoing ability to exist. Is Virginia on the line?
I think you made her mad too because she's not answering right now.
Okay,
so hopefully we can get her back on.
Yeah, we'll get her back on. 314-912-1019. This is not woman bashing. This is in fact asking women to be able to be protected and let men do what men should do. And this is where I really think we have a fundamental problem. We have a fundamental justice system problem in this country, and that is not taking men who are mostly the violent criminals. Most violent criminals are men. And when it occurs against women who they can, because of their physical dominance, have their way with, and when they do that, we need to take men and absolutely incarcerate them, castrate them, make sure that they will never have any motivation or ability to do that again. I've said this over and over and over again. I report every day on the morning show in Columbia that I do about violent criminals that are turned back onto the street by a beta male justice system. How do you feel about women defense attorneys that are all about trying to get soft sentences and try to get early parole and try to get violent criminals off, from the harshest of penalties. There's a lot of those are women defense attorneys. How you feeling about that, gals? Virginia on the line?
No, we have Steve real quick, but I just want to address something that I saw from Scooter. He's saying that it's patronizing for us to be saying that men need to stand up and protect women. But I think
patronizing? What do you mean patronizing?
Well, so because it's male chauvinism, I guess. But the point that I think comes with that is not so much saying that the women can't defend themselves. And as somebody else mentioned,
with guns,
lady,
they can.
Well, the lady in that video from that clip, I mean, she could have clearly kicked that guy's butt. There's no doubt. I mean, Ronda Rousey could knock me out, no problem. But the point is to establish to people that are misogynistic, that do look at women as inferior to them, that the men around you are not going to allow you to prey on people that you may view as a victim. And I don't think that's patronizing. I think that says we need to be holding each other accountable. Now, Steve would like to make some comments on this exact topic real quick.
All right, Steve, go for it.
Hey, gentlemen, good call. I appreciated that guest. Two main points. The first one is I think people are overlooked what your guest was talking about with Marxism, and I think because a lot of he didn't go into depth, and a lot of people don't really understand Marxism other than just a buzzword, is that the family must be eliminated under Marxism. Marxism, one of the foundational, fundamental tenets of Marxism, it's like one of their 10 commandments, is the family must be destroyed and weakened. To do that, you have to weaken both women, destroy their complementary roles with men, and you have to weaken and destroy men and try to move them both towards each other. That's not, again, not bashing women. It's just reality of their philosophy and how they do things. And so, for instance, we have somebody did not bring up was how feminized our public school system is today. It's dominated by women. Many of them, under my impression from discussions with them, they view boys as defective girls. Just flat out. Immediately, if you're a boy, there's something wrong with you. And you see these vast differences in diagnoses for things like ADHD and disruption and so forth. And
it's a good point.
Designing curriculums away from things that interest boys. But the other thing I wanted to touch base on, I know that's a mouthful there, but as a physician, with the, testosterone levels have been going down tremendously in males over the last few decades. And there's probably some social suppression. I know that does take place, but I'm also looking at environmental factors like all the endocrine disrupting chemicals that are in our both our food supply and our environment right now. And also, I've heard reports, and I don't know how valid they are, that many pharmaceuticals are not cleaned or not filtered out of our water supply when wastewater is processed. And particularly, I'm referring to birth control pills, which are composed of female hormones.
Right.
And if men are drinking that, it is somehow suppressing their masculinity. What are your thoughts on those 2 points?
Thanks for that. Thanks for the call. Yeah, you make a good point about Marxism, and there's no doubt that many of the pesticides, the cleaners, the chemicals in our life, and the plastics and so forth, they really do function as estrogens, like pseudoestrogens, both in men and women. That's why we see in agricultural areas, we see higher rates of breast and uterine cancer. I spent a good 18 years seeing that directly when I was working in Northeast Missouri. So we see that a lot. We also see that as men gain weight, their testosterone is converted to estrogen. So that has negative effects as well. Testosterone in fat tissue is converted to estrogen. So as we've become a heavier society, and it's not because of more muscle mass as a rule, it's because of more fat mass, that has a role too. So I think you're absolutely spot on. No doubt about it. Jerome, was there another call?
So we do have Virginia. She's actually going to hang out for the next segment, though, so we can give her the appropriate amount of time to scold us and
let's
tell
do
us
that. Okay,
to correct all the wrong stuff we've been saying.
Do you want to step aside, and then let's take her early, right? Let's do that. Okay, so we'll step aside, and we'll ask Virginia whether there is, in fact, sort of a feminism for all the right reasons to create all of the wrongs of the past in terms of gender inequality. Has it overstepped its bounds? That's the question on the table when we talk with Virginia and we come back. We'll see. Stay tuned for more.
Music is a world within itself, with a language we all understand. With an equal opportunity.
The only reason why I'm here is because it was between foster care or Dr.
Randy Tobler.
Just because the record has a groove.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new NewsTalkSTL app.
Love the all-new NewsTalkSTL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the NewsTalkSTL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Yes, it's been really hot and humid, but fall and winter right around the corner. Tim Jones here to tell you, time to get a hold of Chad Hansen and the gang at Hansen's Tree Service for your home or your business. Grinding, land clearing, green waste recycling, tree consulting, removal, or pruning. The organic mulch from Hansen's a wonderful addition to beautify and spruce up all your landscape beds. They offer substantial volume discounts for bulk orders and emergency tree removal. Just go to hansenstree.com. That's hansenstree.com.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. Fraud and scams can strike anyone. My office works to ensure that Missouri is free from deception and unfair practices. Last year, we handled over 65,000 consumer complaints and returned more than $400 million to Missourians. If you've been a victim of fraud, call 800-392-8222 or visit ago.mo.gov.
Paid for by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Dad, that's what Grandpa Rip always said.
That's right. 50 years ago, Grandpa started Grasser, and whenever a customer called, he'd smile and say, "Hey, it's good to see you."
Hey, it's good to see you.
It was his way of treating people like neighbors, not numbers. That's why we still say it today.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeServices.com.
Hey, it's good to see you.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com.
This is Larry Connors reminding you to listen to my program Monday through Friday at 6 p.m., the Larry Connors USA Daily Report. But now, back to the outstanding Dr. Randy Tobler.
Well, I don't know how outstanding we are anymore after that last segment and a half. Virginia Kruta joins us now, writes for the Daily Wire. I think identifies as a woman and a very strong one, both a mom and a professional, right? Is that how you identify, Virginia? She there?
She was. Let me try again.
What happened to Virginia? Oh, we'll try her again. As we have been talking about our culture and where it's taken us, and I guess it just continues to lead me to think about how when we get government involved in our lives and when government becomes upstream from culture and begins to unravel what God ordained in terms of basic default roles, I think we get messed up. And by that, I mean, I tell you, when I was hiring and working and leading, and currently in my life, in my practice, in our body of health practice, it's the women in my life professionally. They happen to be my wife and daughters in the practice. And yeah, my son's involved because he's remote, so he does some work for us. But the day-to-day work that absolutely are existentially important and recognized as such. And
400.
similarly in the C-suite, that's the way it was. And so, Virginia, you're identifying as a woman and a very accomplished professional and a mom this morning on the show. Is that right or not?
I didn't really think about giving my resume when I called in, but no, sure.
Okay. So we just had this conversation with this guy who has this thing that says, look, sometimes guys are on the wrong end of the stick anymore because even when they're innocent, they're guilty until proven innocent because of a feminist movement that's lost its way and denigrated men and really subordinated them. And it's not to trivialize domestic abuse or predatory males or, it's not about that.
Right.
So what do you think about that argument? We've been accused of woman bashing because we called out cases like the Duke rape case and other wrongs against men just because they were men.
Okay, so let me put this in perspective. Have you ever heard the if you watch and I don't think you do, but if you've ever watched The View, Sunny Hostin always talks about how she always has to talk to her son because she's mixed race, she's Hispanic and Black. And she says she's had to talk to her son about interactions with the police because they're always going to assume he's guilty because he's Black. And, and you've heard this before. It's kind of a cultural thing where, if you, but so when Kavanaugh was essentially on trial before the Senate, right?
Right.
Based on the accusations of a woman who couldn't remember anything except it must have been him. Couldn't remember where, when, what exactly happened, but he did it. Right?
Yeah.
And the Senate put him on trial. Okay?
Right.
I explained to my son, who was 17 at the time, this is why you have to have the Mike Pence rule. This is why you cannot be alone in a room with a woman who is not your wife, ever. Because a woman you barely know 20 years from now can take your job, money, everything you have earned simply by saying you did something, whether you did it or not.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And I told him because you had the misfortune of being born male and white in this day and age, you will always be the bad guy until proven innocent. You will never get a fair shake in a situation where somebody might be at fault, where there's if the other person in the room is a woman or any other identity other than white male, you will always be the bad guy. That is where we are today.
Well, I can tell you a story when I've been at the operating table and we're operating and there's women in the room and someone often in the stress of a surgical situation, a humor in the moment can make a big difference in settling a tense situation or an onion. Okay.
Sure.
And I've had women in the room with whom I'm good friends and I've worked with them for years and they make a really ribald sexual double entendre, which is hilarious. Absolutely. And the guys in the room know that we can't say anything. Later on in the locker room, we can talk about it. There's something fundamentally wrong there, Virginia. That's all we're trying to say.
I'll tell you this. This kind of goes back to don't ask, don't tell. And when that was repealed in the military, kind of a similar situation. if we had once Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed, we had a few coworkers that I had worked with at a military hospital who we knew they were gay, even before Don't Ask, Don't Tell. But it was never the topic of discussion. It was just, okay, we know, and we're going to go back to work now. Okay, no problem, right?
Yeah.
Well, after it was repealed, if they came in and they talked about if it was a male medic, if he came in and he talked about the guys he'd been sleeping with or whatever, or how many guys he'd gone out with in the space of a 4-day weekend, we were not allowed to say anything, because if we did, we were being discriminatory. But if someone who was straight came in and said the same thing, it was sexist, and we were told the Army did not issue you a social life. You need to put that away and get back to work. It was
wow.
The discrimination goes both ways, and it's going harder in specific directions, mainly the traditional ones.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, my daughter Sammy has an 11-month-old. She was co-hosting on my morning show yesterday, and we got talking about these I don't know how we got into it, but she says, I when I go back to work, or after the kids in kindergarten or whatever, and I think a lot of sociologists and psychologists and developmental specialists say, hey, and I think most women really enjoy being with their young babies, when they have a baby. That doesn't, and we should protect and make sure that gets honored in terms of our hiring and our payment practices and all that. I think everyone agrees on that. But suddenly, when you ask for some kind of recognition of biological realities, the exclusive ability to nurture young children that women have been given by their God, by our God, somehow you're bashing women when you say, hey, there might be a good place for a society that makes sure that women can take care of our future generation. And suddenly we're getting all this on the feed, like you're bashing women. I'm not bashing women. I don't get it.
Well, it's kind of, in the bad old days, culture told women that they couldn't have jobs and they had no choice but to stay home with their kids, right? And in the bad new days, you've got people who tell women that if they stay home with their kids, they're doing the wrong thing. Like it doesn't, you don't, there's always, the pendulum is always going to swing too far.
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes.
Okay.
And until it course corrects, it's going to swing too far. So I think
that's
the happy medium has to be, look, you do you. And until you doing you impacts me, we're fine with it. Like maybe you have a job, maybe you don't have a job, like outside the home. Obviously, inside the home, you always have a job because the work is never done. But
it's the toughest job in the world.
Right. And so you cannot, if the whole point was for women to have a choice, you can't now get mad at them if they make the choice.
Yeah, but I don't even want to get into this discussion, but this whole deal about childcare on the back of taxpayers, I don't know about that. That's a whole other thing.
No, I think no, that's a bad idea. It's
because then you're not responsible for your choice
on the back of it. No,
right.
No, I think if you want to pay someone to look after your child, you can pay someone to look after your child, but you cannot demand that I do it.
Yeah, I knew that there's a reason
that I pay for your child care.
I was praying during that last break that Virginia would pull us out of the fire, producer Jerome, and I think she's successfully done this. I think, thank you very much, Virginia. The check will be in the mail. No, I'm kidding. Okay, no. All right. Hey, I got to ask you about this. We only have a couple minutes left, but look, I am on Ron Johnson's side of the coin. I am on Donald Trump's side on this coin. I think that the Republican brand may be for a long, long time damaged, because it won't be able to be expressed. The true conservative, just as you express small L libertarian, I do me, you do you. I don't want the government paying for it on your back, though. I think it's time to do the filibuster and then immediately do some serious small R, big C conservative things and show the American public why they should vote even stronger conservative midterms. Because if they don't, I'm afraid that it's all is lost. What say you?
Are you kind of referencing the filibuster here?
Yep. Break the filibuster and get some things done the next day. 50 plus one.
Here's what I said. And I said this to Tony. straighten it out. I think ideologically I'm opposed to getting rid of the filibuster, but that's in a vacuum. Ideologically, I think it's great. It's a good tool to have. However, we know that the second Democrats get power, they will take it away.
Because Sinema and Manchin aren't there anymore. Yeah.
So we already know what they're going to do when they get power.
Yeah.
And once they do it, it will be difficult the goal is to make it impossible for Republicans to ever get elected again. So why would we set ourselves up for that? That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I don't think that, like I said, in a vacuum, I think that the filibuster is great. However, we still don't use the filibuster the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be Mr. Smith goes to Washington. I'm going to stand on this floor until I collapse in exhaustion. And right. I'm going to, with the exception of Spartacus last year, nobody does this anymore. They just say
Rand Paul
we're going to filibuster it, and then they all sit down. Like
Rand Paul did it. Remember when he did the long one?
He did. And so, with the exception of a very few cases, that's not how the filibuster is used anymore.
So what should they do, Virginia?
What
should they do?
That in this case, we don't have a choice. You have to break the filibuster, but you have to do it and mean it. If you're going to break the filibuster, you now have to ram through everything.
Amen.
All the stuff that Trump did with executive order, it has to be codified because it must be more difficult for Democrats to get rid of it. They need to be able to get because if we don't do it, then one, they're going to break the filibuster anyway. We know this. They already got rid of everybody who would stand in the way of it. Manchin, Sinema, they're gone. The only person left with a grain of sanity is Fetterman, of all people. And and I think he probably opposed breaking the filibuster, at least nominally. But at the end of the day, he dances with the people who brought him.
Beautiful words, Virginia. Thank you. Powerful segment. I hope people catch it and refer other people to it. Thanks very much. See you next time. Healthcare navigation coming up. Insurance markets are open. Stay tuned.
Why are you going to work? It's Sunday.
It's a brand new show on News Talk STL, JC's Sunday Showgram.
This week, we'll talk about some of the crazy lawsuits I've been involved in. Plus, back in the VCR days, some of us had a lot of trouble with the clock, especially at daylight saving time. And we'll talk about the scandalous radio people who took the money and ran, trying to sell you on scams like body solutions.
Sunday morning, 7 to 9. Then podcast each Monday on NewsTalkSTL.com.
Hi, I'm Mark Sutherland, founder of Stone Ledge Distillery, and I'd like to give you a bottle of Stolock whiskey or Inversion vodka. Enter now at stoneledgedistillery.com/win. Come experience our tasting room in historic Defiance. Enjoy Stolock whiskey, Inversion vodka, and other Missouri-made spirits, wine, and craft beer in our beautiful cocktail lounge, cigar room, or out on the patio with live music every weekend. Don't forget, win a bottle of Stolock or Inversion at stoneledgedistillery.com/win. Come raise a glass in Defiance.
Tom Shaw Realtors representing the sale and development of more than 150,000 acres. Selling, buying. Call Tom, 636-432-1922. Ask about hunting leases. ShawRealtors.com.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
My mother was very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign and she wasn't even really sure where she was at.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
The strength of America, our values, our way of life hasn't just been won on the battlefield. It's won every day in our communities when we come together, extending hands of compassion, service, and hope to those who need it most. For over 100 years, the American Legion has been strengthening communities across our nation by providing life-saving help and support to our veterans and neighbors during times like we're facing today. It's what the Legion's all about. From blood drives to distributing food, from responding to emergencies and protecting the most vulnerable among us. Our mission is making America's communities stronger.
We are one family, and therefore we care.
We are the American Legion.
HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. President Trump's agenda could be in jeopardy as the Supreme Court weighs the constitutionality of his sweeping tariffs.
Tariffs have played a central role in the president's economic and foreign policy agenda during his second term, and he describes his tariff case as one of the most important in American history. Last week, the Supreme Court heard oral arguments about the president's use of an emergency law to impose import taxes. During the 2.5-hour session, conservative justices asked some tough questions about the legality of Donald Trump's unilateral tariff authority. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The flight cuts at airports created a few headaches for travelers on Friday.
More than 1,000 flights were cut, but the airline stayed mostly on schedule. Karen Soika was supposed to be on one of the canceled flights out of Newark.
Talked to a few people here. They're saying, if I were you, I would not travel over the next 3 days. It's going to get worse.
There were last-minute cancellations and long security lines at 40 airports targeted for the slowdown. Gail Daly was trying to fly out of Denver. She's sick of the shutdown.
It's just a game back and forth of holding out who's going to get their way.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says the number of canceled flights could double if the shutdown continues. I'm Ed Donahue.
The Senate convenes later today in hopes of ending the shutdown. UPS and FedEx are grounding some of their planes after last week's deadly crash in Kentucky. More on that from Ron Taylor.
UPS and FedEx have decided to ground their fleets of MD-11 planes out of an abundance of caution after a deadly crash at a UPS Global Aviation hub in Kentucky. The companies announced their decision separately late Friday. The MD-11 aircraft make up about 9% of the UPS airline fleet and 4% of the FedEx fleet. The company stated their decisions were made proactively at the recommendation of the aircraft manufacturer. Ron Taylor reporting.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
Whether you're preparing for exams, juggling family and career, or just looking to stay sharp as you age, Think Factor is here to help. Created by the same company that makes Relief Factor, Think Factor supports sharper focus, stronger recall, and clearer thinking. It's the natural way to give your brain the daily nutrients it needs for memory, attention, and even vibrant vision. Call 800-4-RELIEF. 800, the number 4-RELIEF, or visit relieffactor.com to learn more. Look, I was a little bit skeptical. I started taking Think Factor. After a few weeks, wow, my memory, my focus, my concentration, better than ever. And Think Factor results get better the longer it's taken. If you want to stay focused during demanding tasks, keep your memory strong, maintain mental energy for whatever's ahead, well, Think Factor is for you. Call 800-4-RELIEF. 800, the number 4-RELIEF, or visit relieffactor.com to learn more and order Think Factor. Your first bottle is just $19.95. Think Factor. Think clearer, perform better daily. Call 800-4-RELIEF or visit relieffactor.com for
Hey, it's Susie Moore with a reminder that for 20 years, Harpo's Chesterfield has been the heart of West County's fun. With their award-winning patio, voted best in West County, and excellent sports bar atmosphere, Harpo's is your one-stop destination. The mouth-watering menu has made them famous throughout St. Louis. Plus, they've got great drink specials and the friendliest, most energetic staff around. Whether you're dining in or carrying out, Harpo's delivers fun, food, and drinks like no one else. Harpo's Chesterfield. Call 636-537-1970 or visit harposstl.com.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long have you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At US Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With US Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
US Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With US Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose US Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. US Med. Better service, better care. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show, brought to you by Advanced Dentistry Now. Doctors Dan Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer, on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is News Talk STL.
I think that if we got rid of the filibuster, we would approve so many good things, common sense things, wonderful things, that it would be hard to beat us. If we don't, it's always going to be a slog. So I do say this. I would say absolutely, without question, I have no doubt in my mind, get rid of it. And the Republicans should do it. But they have a number of Republicans that don't agree. And you know what? It's a question. Do I want to lose my relationship with those Republicans that have been very good to me for a long period of time, that voted against the crooked Democrats on impeachment and everything else? Do I want to lose them over it? I think it's a very important point. Do you ever have people that are wrong, but you can't convince them? So do you destroy your whole relationship with them or not? I'd be close to losing it, but probably not. I think that if we...
All right. Well, there's Donald Trump saying, it's probably time to break the filibuster. Let's just tell these Democrats it's a specious argument to be subsidizing what they themselves admit is unaffordable. That is the Obamacare Act and those premiums with it. And if it's so affordable, why are we having to subsidize it? Well, we're going to talk with Tony Holland now, leading health insurance industry veteran. He's got 3 decades of experience in the field. He's been the CEO of major insurance operations. He joins us now as everyone is now talking about healthcare again. Welcome into the program, Tony.
Hi, Dr. Randy Tobler. Honored and blessed to be on your show, sir.
So look, we got to talk about this. But I think by all objective measures, the Affordable Care Act has done very little, and there's always exceptions, but it's done very little to do anything but raise premiums, decrease access, and there's no end in sight for the rise in premiums. And the taxpayer now is subsidizing huge, megalithic, vertically integrated insurance companies. And I think that the American, well, at least most of the American electorate is on to the whole scam. What do you think?
I believe you're right on point, Dr. Tobler. It's about $35 billion of taxpayer money that's subsidizing what was called the Affordable Care Act, but it's become obviously very unaffordable.
Now, your company is integrity.com, right? That's the website, Integrity, right?
Yes, sir. Global Premier Benefits is my business unit, and we're part of integrity.com. Yes.
Okay, so look, people are looking at it. This is what's so maddening about this, Tony. And I've practiced in urban, suburban, rural environments. I've led a rural hospital. I've run practices. I know a little bit about the whole game. And it's so frustrating to me that it doesn't have to be as complicated as it is. In my opinion, I want to know yours. If we viewed health insurance as we viewed home and car insurance, insuring the big things for what they need to be, the big bad things that lead people to bankruptcy, and letting the everyday smaller ticket items be paid for on a cash basis and let the free market really do its magic. What say you?
I agree. And I think a lot of the challenges come, Dr. Tobler, is with a lot of the waste we found out and a lot of the abuse and fraud that's been, involved in healthcare for some time. There needs to be change. And one thing I'd like to say, we need to reopen our government. We need to get back to work for the people. And we need to figure out what we're going to do about these subsidies, which, as you know, with the American Rescue Act and the Inflation Reduction Act in 2022, those tax credits are going to expire at the end of next month. Something has to be done. But you're right. There needs to be a simpler plan or better way to implement quality healthcare on the same level as all the other insurances that you've mentioned. There is a simple solution, but we need everyone to come together so we can find a win-win solution. So the providers are happy with the system, the carriers are happy with it, and ultimately the consumer is happy.
Well, I'm now part of the direct primary care movement. I decided that it was immoral to be a part of a system that doesn't serve patients. It serves big insurance companies.
Yes.
And by the way, I know that you deal with insurance, but I know a lot of very high integrity, generally conservative minded insurance brokers who are helping people navigate this space with a model that fits theirs. But if the Republicans would open the government and then just really totally redefine Obamacare to maybe say, look, we're gonna make sure that everyone needs to have a major medical plan, but those can be defined in the person's interest. Why does someone who's 20 have to cover colonoscopies and intensive care units for COPD? And why does someone who's postmenopausal have to be providing maternity benefits? Couldn't we devise like Switzerland has, where there basically are a myriad of major medical insurers and people choose what they want? Could that not be the case? And insurance brokers would be happy too.
Absolutely. It would make life easier for everyone. And as you use the example of that 20-something that's in great shape, goes to the gym, there should be a special program for people that fit that category. You even have 50-year-olds that are in very good shape that don't need a lot of the care that's involved with some of those coverages. So I agree 100%.
So for now, what's the answer, though? I mean, look, it's predicted that healthcare premiums are going to go up, as much as 20 to 30%, 20, 25%?
In some cases, 75%, Dr. Tobler.
Well, I'm not talking about the Obamacare. I'm just talking about for employers, for others. Employers are going to go up 10 or 15%, aren't they?
Yes,
Okay.
and a lot of this has to do, Dr. Tobler, and I just want to be frank with your audience, is that you can't subsidize or provide health care for those that are here undocumented. That's been a big challenge with this. And you can't have the carriers and providers gaming the system either. So those things need to be resolved to bring down, I believe, ultimately the cost of healthcare. That all plays a role.
Oh, there's no doubt about it, because people who are paying insurance, paying those 20% co-pays or co-insurance, people that are paying their premiums, and they go up and up and up. I mean, the people that have to see those patients, and it's the ethical and the legal obligation. If you're in an emergency situation, working in a hospital or administering one, you can't say no to those people. Well, if you're flooded with immigrants who don't have insurance but have tremendous demands, I mean, someone's got to pay for that, and it's all of us, right, Tony?
Yes, absolutely. And that's the challenge you see with most immigrants. They don't have a primary care physician. They go directly to the hospital or to urgent care, and they have no money. They have no insurance, and those expenses to the providers and to the medical facilities have to be paid. They don't work for free.
I talked with the governor yesterday on my morning program of Missouri. I said, look, one thing you could do right away to make it easier in this coming year for people, and I know it's legal in Texas and Tennessee, patients that pay cash, and this happens a lot during the end of the year when a high deductible patient has a $1,000 MRI they need for their knee or whatever. I tell them to think about paying cash. In Texas and Tennessee, they can apply that cash to their deductible, but nowhere else in the country. That would be a game changer, and it would involve market forces at the lower expense levels, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. And I think that's why we need to have a standard platform that no matter if you're in Texas or even in New York or California, everybody understands a simple system that everyone can agree to that's going to be affordable for everyone.
What should people do, Tony Holland with Integrity at integrity.com? What should people do that are looking at whether maybe they're small business people on the individual market or, independent contractors who, by the way, that's another thing. Why shouldn't insurance be deductible? Why shouldn't premiums be deductible for individuals? I don't get it. At any rate, what should they do when they're looking at tremendous premium increases? What options do they have?
Well, I always recommend clients, whether you're in Medicare, because I do a lot of work in Medicare Advantage and Med Sup programs, or whether you're, self-employed or you're running a business or you're in the ACA program, work with a qualified broker that has the certifications for whatever product they're selling. Make sure you check out that broker. Don't deal with just an agent. An agent represents one company, or a broker represents multiple companies. And I'd make sure they're a local broker. I'm not a big fan of these call centers. These call centers have created a lot of challenges, especially in my industry with ACA and Medicare Advantage. Matter of fact, the Department of Justice is pursuing 3 major call centers this past year for some illegal practices. Deal with someone and make sure you check their certifications. Make sure they've taken the appropriate exams, and make sure you check out if they have the certification, especially for fraud, waste, and abuse in the federally facilitated marketplace if they're doing ACA. If they're doing Medicare Advantage, make sure they have their AHIP certification. So I think that's the first step. If they're going to shop on their own, make sure you do your due diligence, especially if it's in ACA. Go to healthcare.gov. Do your research, locate your state, make sure, because every state, as we talked about earlier in this call, every state's different. So make sure you check out each state in their enrollment process, fill out an application, compare the plans, and make sure you're enrolling during the enrollment period. Right now, ACA started last Saturday, November 1st, and it wraps up December 15th to get coverage by January 1st. And if they don't pick by that time, they still have an extension to January 15th for coverage throughout the year. So just make sure you do your due diligence. Shop around, focus on the total annual costs, consider high deductible plans or even a health savings account, which I'm a big fan of, along with direct to primary care coverage. You mentioned that earlier. Maximize the subsidies if you qualify in the tax credits. Check your network. If you go out of network, it's going to cost you more money. So make sure you check that your specialists are in the plan, that your primaries in the plan, and make sure you're aware of the out-of-pocket costs if you go out of network. And 2 final points, sir. Make sure you review the prescription drug coverage, because there's been many changes this year with drug coverage, and make sure they utilize preventive care, because in many cases there's no cost to that, like annual checkups, screenings, and vaccinations. Because I believe ultimately, Dr. Tobler, if we have a more healthier society, I think we need to be working on preventive care. Yeah. I think ultimately it's going to lower the cost of healthcare as well.
Well, I have seen that, Tony, as I've transitioned from being I call it a treadmill doctor, having to see so many patients every day to check all the boxes, keep all the insurance companies, keep Medicare, Medicaid. There wasn't time to talk about those essential preventive lifestyle changes that are going to make a huge difference in this country's health collectively and individuals, and reduce our utilization of more advanced care, right? And and full disclosure here, I'm in the DPC realm, and I'm really an advocate for DPC, direct primary care, along with some kind of a coverage, whether it's a healthcare sharing plan, whether it's some kind of major medical. But there are options there's a lot of small business people that listen to this program, Tony Holland. And there are now options with the Big Beautiful Bill and with something called healthcare reimbursement accounts that employers can offer their employees the option of having a direct primary care, which is essentially a doctor on retainer. That's the only way I can explain it. It's having a doctor on retainer. I'll be doing telehealth with my patients all weekend. I do it in the evening. I do it all day, but it's so much better for the patient. We don't make them come in just to generate a bill, because it's already paid. It's already paid. And there's options for people to explore new models rather than going to the traditional, you're getting the group rate, and I was able to negotiate down a group rate for you, but it's going to go up 12%. There are other options, and they're very creative and they're disruptive. What is your advice? What questions should small business owners ask of their broker? Because their broker might have a conflict of interest and steer them away from this model.
That's a great question. I'd first make sure you check out their certifications. And then I would interview that broker like you would if someone was going to work on your home. Typically, don't you ask for referrals? You ask for someone that has used them. I would ask them, give me 3 names of people you've serviced in the past year or 2 so I can talk to them and see what you did for them. Because I think that's so important. And make sure you do your research in terms of, like you just mentioned, the healthcare replacement plan. I like direct primary care coverage. Talk to your physician about that and what they recommend, because that I think is an incredible option. Along with catastrophic coverage, there's short-term medical plans for up to 3 years. Of course, they're fully underwritten. So if you're in good health, that's an option. There's hospital indemnity plans. There's critical illness plans. There's a lot of options out there. And that's why I think it's important that you work with a licensed health broker that's fully knowledgeable in all the aspects of healthcare. That's just not one-dimensional.
No, it's so important. I'm so glad you got that out there, because I think inertia is a powerful force, and people they're not comfortable with what is, but it's the devil you know may be better than the devil you don't know. The problem is there's a lot of angels out there that people don't know, and they need to look at those. Tony Holland, This has been really informative. I hope you'll join us again as things move on, and really appreciate you. I know you got a book you're working on. When that's coming out, let us know, okay?
Yes, Dr. Randy Tobler, thank you for having me on your show. It was definitely an honor and a privilege, and hope I was helpful to your audience. Thank you, and God bless.
Yeah, you were. God bless you too, Tony Holland. Good words. It's good to hear Tony talk there, because there are a lot of things, guys, that your brokers are not telling you about, because it might mean they take a haircut. I know this. So don't just feel hopeless about your healthcare situation. There is a better way in many cases. Some cases there aren't. We'll be back and talk a little bit about narco-terrorism and Momkami. We got to cover those topics too. Stay tuned. Well, there is a better way when you're looking for dental care, and that is to get it from someone you trust, someone I trust, someone that's taken care of me, my family, my colleagues, and that is Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles and the great people there, whether it's Dr. Daniel Cusimano, Dr. Megan Dwyer, their fabulous staff. They believe in that prevention equation, because that is so critical to trying to avoid those long-term problems that cost a lot more money. Let's be honest about it. No matter where you get, if you can avoid having the restorative services, the crowns that you may or may not need, had you done the annual visits with them or the semi-annual visits and followed their recommendation for self-care with your dental care. But when you do need that, because, by the way, you can't pick your parents, and sometimes the dental realities have to do with genetics and so forth. But when you do need that care, they render it exquisitely well, precisely, with the most advanced technology. And boy, I talk about crowns, the same-day crowns. Man, that is a beautiful, beautiful thing, because I know you're beautiful and busy people, and you don't want to come back 2 and 3 and 4 times. So they try to make it very, very affordable for you, very, very accessible for you, and efficient. All done with love and care at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles at advanceddentistrynow.com. That's advanceddentistrynow.com.
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty.
The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion. Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
Constant fatigue, brain fog, autoimmune flares. You might be fighting a hidden viral reactivation. I'm Dr. Brian Deloney with Simply Health Integrated Medical. Join me this weekend as we expose Epstein-Barr virus, the stealth disruptor behind fatigue and inflammation. Don't miss it.
Simply Health, Saturdays at noon on News Talk STL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com.
When precision matters, trust the experts who live and breathe firearms. Full Circle Reloading and Firearms. Veteran-owned and operated by competitive shooters who know what it takes to win. From reloading supplies and accessories to custom rifles and cutting-edge night vision, we've got everything you need. Plus, get precision rifle training from the pros. Full Circle Reloading and Firearms. 923 South 5th Street in St. Charles, or visit FullCircleReloading.com.
Looking for an underwater adventure or a scaly new friend? Dive into Tropical World Pets on Watson Road. For 32 years, this family-owned wonderland has been St. Louis's go-to destination for all things aquatic and reptilian. With over 7,000 square feet of aquariums, we're home to the area's largest selection of freshwater fish, including rare cichlids you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. We've got tarantulas, snakes, and lizards galore. Tropical World Pets, 314-849-4020, or visit twpstl.com.
Severe storms are just part of life here in St. Louis, and that means your roof absorbs a lot of wear and tear. It might be time to replace it to keep the rest of your house or your business safe. I'm Mike Ferguson for TB Exteriors. Whether it's storm repair or a complete roof replacement, TB Exteriors has been providing roofing, gutter, siding, and window exteriors throughout St. Louis. And this is important, they'll assist you with insurance claims. Visit tbexteriors.com to schedule a free estimate.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Did Donald Trump and Republicans make everything great again over the weekend? We'll discuss with Senator Jim Talent at 425. At 525, RedState Headlines with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
I couldn't sleep at all last night. Just thinking of you. Baby, things weren't right. When I was tossing and turning and tossing and turning all night. I kicked the blankets on the floor.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started on the Venezuelan coast aboard this narco ship. The fake news said they were fishermen, but they were Tren de Aragua thugs heading to the United States with a boat full of drugs. A boat full of drugs. Bad hombres decided to F around, so we blew them out of the water. We unleashed our secret weapon, and we dropped Katie Porter. We dropped Katie Porter. The narco boats were annihilated. Now the fish are high as hell. They got a free meal when the USA chummed the water with the cartels. And I got to look very well, by the way, with Davy Jones. You may have heard of him, Davy Jones. And he has a locker. And anybody who tries to sail drugs into our country, they're getting a one-way trip to Davy Jones' locker. That much I can tell you. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
There is some disagreement with Donald Trump. Welcome back into the Tobler Show on News Talk STL. Thanks for being with us. We've had a pretty, what would you say, producer Jerome, a fairly provocative show this morning? Fair to say, especially the second hour.
Yeah, that might be a bit of an understatement. But it's been both thought provoking and maybe a little bit emotional at times. But we've made it through this emotional roller coaster together. So appreciate you guys hanging out.
Thanks for being with us. And I know that sometimes we ruffle some feathers, but you know what? It's good to have your feathers ruffled and really ask questions about your thoughts and the way you view things. So I know you ruffle my feathers sometimes with your comments and go, oh, wait a minute, I better reel it back in here. I better rethink that. That's what healthy, hearty debate is all about. Charlie Kirk style, right? That's what's good and decent about these American ways that are going to go south if we don't watch it, because the fascists from the left are going to have their way with free and open debate if the mom commies of the world get their way. The AP is reporting that these attacks on these boats is nuanced. One was a fisherman struggling to eke out a living. Another was a career criminal. A third was a former military cadet. And a fourth was a down-on-his-luck bus driver. All four were among the more than 60 people killed since early September when Trump began attacking boats. One mother describes the confusion and anguish of losing her son. Now, they never say that these people weren't running drugs. The men had, in dozens of interviews in villages on Venezuela's breathtaking northeastern coast, residents and relatives said the dead men had indeed been running drugs, but were not narco-terrorists or leaders of a cartel of gang. I'm sorry, AP. I'm sorry, Venezuelan village men and women. They were running drugs to America and killing our people, killing our youth. Maybe you Venezuelans should think about who you're electing to your leadership. You've got a cartel leader masquerading as your president named Maduro. It's sort of analogous to what the so-called innocent Hamas civilians, who there may be some truly innocent civilians who don't want Hamas to be in power. But when you look the other way and allow stuff to happen in your neighborhood that you know is wrong and you don't call it out and shout it out and do all you can to defeat it, maybe you're part of the problem. Just saying. Anyway, I think I'm okay with Donald Trump doing this. I'm sorry. I know that some conservatives have had some problems with this, but net, because I've seen the carnage of drug running on youth. If it doesn't result in their death, it results in their personal self-destruction until and if they can be rehabbed. So yeah, I think I'm okay with it. How about you? 314-912-1019. Let me know. Well, we can say in a sort of a feel-good kind of way on a Saturday morning, isn't it nice that Pelosi's going to be gone? But maybe it's not so nice. She's going to be looking pretty moderate, maybe even conservative compared to what's taking over in her wake. Reportedly, the guy that's probably going to take over her district in Congress that covers San Francisco is even more, it's like Mom Kami-esque, right? He's squad dude.
Yeah, to my understanding, the one of the names that keeps coming up is I think his name's Scott Weiner, one of the two, and he is the one that is behind most of the bills that are coming out of California that you look at and you're like, what drugs were you on, or do you need to be on to not allow this to happen again? I mean, it's absolutely insane because a lot of people, we want somebody younger to get into office that's going to have to live with the consequences of the policies that they are pushing and have to suffer with us if you mess something up bad or put something out there that is not good. But that this other side of the coin now is that they're the younger people, the people that are not 112 like Pelosi, seem to all have this crazy, extremely out of this world ideology and philosophy. So it's like darned if you do, darned if you don't at this point.
Well, but this, I think, makes the point. If you missed the first hour, I mean, I'm going to double down on what I said, and Virginia really said in this moment, at this time, it's time for the Republicans to, open the government. But what that gives them an open, wide berth, a lane to do is to ram through the things that are good for Americans. Yes, those young people who have legitimate gripes. Let's not deny that. Young people who can't afford their rent or to buy a house or to buy a car or to put food on their table if they're a young family. I know it. I live it. My daughter's trying to make ends meet. One of my daughters both of my daughters with essentially a single income, one of them on a military income, staying home with their kids. And it's tough. It's tough sledding out there for young people. But the answer is not to go Mom Kami and Scott Weiner. By the way, that's a befitting name of a progressive woke liberal, isn't it? Weiner. Oh, that's beautiful. That's what they do. Grievance politics, right?
Yep.
They're right. The diagnosis is right. There's too much of a disparity between the big tech guys. And by the way, I'm worried about big tech getting in bed with the Trump and MAGA. I'm really worried about that.
It's already here.
They are in bed. Yeah. And they're right. Yeah, they're turning out babies that are only going to be worse. But anyway, I am worried about the reality of young people's economic lives. But they're so delusioned if they think that because they've been taught in the halls of their academic education, when that applies, and even in their high schools, and that does usually apply, about there's something wrong with this country, properly regulated free markets or capitalism and its evil and what in the world were the founding fathers thinking, and we need to blow it all up and become Marxist society. What are they thinking? We need to do what's good for them. We need to be, frankly, we need to be a little parental. And we need to show them that what real free market liberty, libertarianism with consequences feels like. And the only way to do that is to open up the government. And the very next day, Virginia Kruta said the words, ram it down their, ram through those conservative messages. Virginia, not me. That's what her word. And that's exactly what we need to do. And I would agree with that. So anyway, and that's the thing. Jerome, you nailed it. I mean, young people are desperate. They want a lifeline, right? They're drowning. And they're reaching for anyone that's going to throw them a lifeline. And look, Mom Kami is a very charismatic dude. He said, what did he say? Like, we need government that provides everything and recognizes of all the big things and recognizes the importance of the little things. It was the most Marxist statement I've ever heard. From each according to their ability, to each according to their need. Well, maybe need has been transmuted to want. If I want a high-powered new latest Apple phone, if I want, to sit in my parents' basement and do video games and subsistence from the government, if I want, all the HBO and whatever packages on my team, and I want someone to pay for it because I want them to raise my minimum wage. Wait a minute. That's not what we promise. What we promise is you work hard, you keep what you make, and the government provides security, a justice system that works, by the way, that doesn't excuse away predatory males and career criminals. Well, and we need to show them. We only have a short while. We only have till the midterms to show them. And I think it's time that the Republicans do that. And by the way, affordable health care, where for a family of 4 with a direct primary care contract and a major medical plan, you can probably get that for half of what your premiums are through your employer now, easily, and have real care when you want it and when you need it, when it comes to health care. That's the first thing they could do.
Well, and I think Mamdani's victory should be sending a message out to a lot of people. Right now, all I hear are, I guess, what President Trump would call the panicans, complaining that he won, but they're not willing to discuss who was voting for him and how it got there. You have young people who have been feeling the effects of economic decline since I can remember. I mean, I'm old enough to barely remember, 9/11 and that sort of residual impact it had. And every year it seems like I make a little bit more money, but I'm spending a lot more money for just to survive. And then you have a big city that's been poorly managed like New York City has, and they've been on the decline for probably since before I was even born, to be honest. And so you have a lot of these younger people that are mad, that they feel desperate, they feel hopeless. Now you got a handsome young guy coming up with all the right rhetoric points, and it seemingly feels to them like now we have a politician that understands our complaints. They're not, they're focused on us here. And I don't think Mamdani's, at best, it's going to just be a slow burn decline of New York City even further. I mean, I don't see how this is going to suddenly, the mayor does not have the power to suddenly just fix all the issues in New York. No. But at worst, it's going to cause a huge, massive shakeup that's going to further hurt that economy. But the residual point is when you look at the people that were voting for him, it was majority of the people were foreign-born people that are now United States citizens. I was listening to Columbo and Company, and I can't remember which guest he had on, but one of the guests said something like somewhere in the ballpark of 80% of the people that were supporting Mamdani are people that have been in the United States as citizens for less than 5 years, or they lived in New York City for less than 5 years. So you have
well, Jerome, I think what you're getting at here is, we joke sometimes about how Texas and Tennessee and Florida are going to go potentially from red to purple with an influx of blue people who sort of consider socialized California and Illinois, New York ways as norm, and they're going to dilute the conservatism in those states. Well, you're going to see that's why immigrants come in, and they're going to vote more and more for that kind of an ideology.
Well, and then again, if we look at the people that we've been allowing, we've not really been gatekeeping only. So this is one of the reasons why I like Thomas Massey, but his proposal is we need to only be accepting people that will be a self-reliant net benefit on our economy. And there are a lot of people, when you look at a lot of the social services, legal immigrants are oftentimes receiving Medicare, Medicaid, or other sorts of programs. They're not So you have people that are not self-reliant or able to be self-sufficient being able to come over here, and then they are like, wow, it's not a land of milk and honey like we thought it is. Well, here's a politician now saying he's going to turn it into the land of milk and honey. And then you have the young people coming forward. And of course, there's so much broken with public education, with our societal values. And just if you govern a city blue for long enough, this just seems to be the inevitable end of it. But that's sort of what the residual problem is that we are going to probably not see the total devastation of New York, at least from what I can tell. There are definitely people that are trying to ramp that up and trying to do, crazy nonsense with Mamdani's victory. But I think the bigger threat here is going to be, you're going to start seeing people that are trying to get out of New York because they're going to be the ones that are able to afford to leave New York. And they're going to be going to the places where, again, as conservatives, we don't like paying massive amounts of taxes. We like having affordable living. We like having, community ties to our environment. So we're going to have an influx of people like that, hopefully learning the lesson, but equally as much, it's going to be, well, I can exploit this area now, and I can create the same conditions that led to the people in New York City voting for Mamdani in the first place.
Well, in the words of Margaret Thatcher, Mamdani and all of his minions are going to run out of other people's money because that money is going to go elsewhere.
Yep.
People, I mean, the Beatles did it. Many of the basketball players, the wealthy, sports stars, they go places where they don't have their wealth is not punished. Now, that said, we have to be very careful about people who call themselves conservatives giving subsidies to insurance companies. Oh my God. And only creating more disparity of wealth. You got to stop it, guys. Don't be crony capitalists anymore. Disavow yourselves of any crony capitalism. Republicans, oh, but I got to get elected, and that's where the big money comes from. I know. That's where I wonder sometimes. I get a little hopeless because I think many of the Republicans are on the take from the very big companies that they give a little lip service to on the other side. We, the people, have the power. I just don't think we have the will or the knowledge or the historical context in which to make the right decisions. Well, there is hope, though, Jerome. I mean, after all, those young people who want freedom and they want their liberty and they want to do what they want to do and they don't want those fascists telling them where they're going to go to church and how to live and what to do. I think they should feel real assured, because I heard someone in Times Square reassuring them that they'll be given liberty of their religion or no religion, right? Let's play that clip.
We're done hiding. We're done. We're done being tortured and hurt and judged. This is the correct religion. This is the religion that all of humanity needs to be upon, of Islam. And we will not stop until it enters every home. So I want you to repeat after me. I want to hear it in every single district. It should tremble. Brooklyn should hear it. The Bronx should hear it. Queens should hear it. Say it as if the Ummah depends on this, my brothers and sisters. La ilaha illallah!
Wait. That wasn't a Christian evangelical pastor? That wasn't Erica Kirk? No, that was an imam. Ladies and gentlemen, London has come to New York City. And unless we fight against it, it'll be coming to a city near you. I'm Randy Tobler. There's producer Jerome. We're going to wrap it up when we come back. Stay tuned.
It is like rantings in Cran by somebody having an LSD trip.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Need promotional products or apparel for your business? Look no further than Blue Sky Promotions. This woman-owned, locally operated company in Bridgeton specializes in anything and everything promotional. From branded apparel and uniforms to custom giveaways and marketing materials, Blue Sky Promotions has you covered. Whether you're looking to stand out at a trade show, build brand awareness, or reward your employees, Blue Sky Promotions has the solutions you need. Visit blueskypromotions.com or call 314-739-3531.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need to understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Are the days of a personal doctor gone? Not at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. I'm Dr. Randy Tobler to share how our design is putting the care back into healthcare. Plain and simple, our members, not insurance companies, get our exclusive focus. That means same or next day appointments, responsive answers to your concerns, and a no-spin, big tool chest approach. It's about time you get serious time devoted to your medical needs. To learn about healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Now, the Free Market Minute, brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
Hi, it's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and I'm here with Dr. Grant Black. And Grant, capitalism, that is increasingly under attack. But why is a free market system so important?
The simple answer, society is much better off because of free markets. Free markets allow individuals and business owners to freely choose what to consume, how to save, where to live and do business, what to produce, and how to protect their valuable resources, and so much more. And this can all happen without requiring heavy government interference. In a nutshell, free markets empower people to live their lives the way they choose. And this makes all our lives better.
The John W. Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University fosters and examines market-oriented approaches to economic and social issues. To learn more, visit hammondinstitute.org.
This hour, the Randy Tobler Show, brought to you by Advanced Dentistry Now. Doctors Dan Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
That's life. That's life. That's what all the people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May.
It's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and you are listening to Randy Tobler right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Why? Because you're awesome.
Welcome back into the program. Hey, we've got to talk about the jobs market in America. And again, it's a Saturday morning, and I'm always betwixt and between producer Jerome. But we need to talk about it because it's a reality. And if we bury our head in the sand, I think we're just going to be in big heap of trouble. There's been more jobs layoff in October. Now, this is according to, one survey, right? This is not official government data, but we know how reliable that's been. But apparently there's been more jobs layoff in October than there had been like in 22 years, month over month. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then the month before that, we heard about a lot. And it seems like the jobs are just peeling off like the leaves falling off the tree. And I asked myself, middle management, white collar. I heard an architect on a program the other day saying, look, I was doing architectural software for some, a company. He says, I do not need it anymore. AI is doing it. I think we're looking at a potential existential unemployment crisis. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems like between that and between robotics, productivity is going crazy per capita. And it's not because the capita is working longer hours. It's just, I don't know, man. What do you think about it?
So this is something I'm surprised we have not been talking about. Not just us, but media in general has not been talking about. So not only have we been seeing layoff after layoffs in the thousands per different companies, per different departments of each company since going back to when they were trying to reopen the economy to begin with, but back in July, this is coming from Reuters, this is coming from the Mises Institute, this is coming from the Bureau of Labor, that there are more unemployed persons than there are actual job openings since July. We're also seeing massive layoffs because of AI and other forms of automation. We were also, I mean, it was earlier this year that I believe it was either Microsoft or Google, but they laid off like 10,000 American workers because they realized they could get, I think it was like 6,000 or 7,000 H-1B visa workers to do the exact same job for cheaper. So we are experiencing, and this again goes into, I think, why there are so many youngins who are just so disenfranchised with even being able to participate in the American dream that they're willing to give somebody like Mamdani a chance. But to the point of this, so right now the government's shut down because the Democrats want to put back in $1.5 trillion of spending on top of the already approved by the Republicans continuation of the Biden spending. But you also have people that are being laid off. So now you're losing tax contributing people and increasing spending, and it's not sustainable. If you don't have people generating revenue to go towards the government, because these companies are able to not have to pay as much payroll tax, we're not generating as much income tax. So we are steadily replacing the American worker on multiple different fronts. And then we're sitting here telling kids, well, just pull yourself up by the bootstrap. But housing, I mean, housing and cost, there's no a family of two, a young married couple is not going to be able to take out a mortgage. I mean, rent on apartments has gone way up, even in some of the worst areas, and people are being taxed out of their homes due to the property tax, and the assessor is saying, well, we're not building new homes, so your home is now worth more. Sucks that you're on a fixed income, but guess what? Now you have to pay more property tax. So this is
but I'm having cognitive, but Jerome, I'm having cognitive dissonance here. I mean, I've got some things around the home or around the farm that I can't do, but I can't find people to do them. So it seems like we have a potential opportunity for starting in high school and maybe grade school. Maybe we reinvigorate what we do. What happened to the way of our shop class? Maybe girls and boys need to be in shop class more, and we need to teach people the vocations and be Mike. I keep saying Mike Rowe for president. Rowe for president, right? Because there are jobs. AI is not going to put drywall on my ceiling because I got some nails popping out, right? AI is not going to be able to come in and fix my plumbing because I don't know how to do that, right? So, I mean, there's things that people can do that I just think that we're just going to need to reinvent the American workforce, no?
Well, eventually it's going to get to a point where those are going to be probably, and I think we're already at that point or beyond that point, where if you're not trade savvy, if you're not able to do some sort of physical labor that has not yet been automated by machinery, then you're probably the only person or among the few that actually have any sort of job security. To your point about, not seeing people willing to do drywall and stuff, we've really lost as a cultural value that sort of work ethic. I mean,
I honor that.
So a lot of people, when I talk to people older than me, it's like, well, I remember when I was younger, my dad took me in the garage. We'd work on the car. I would go inside. We'd be doing stuff like that. Mom would teach me how to cook, stuff like that. We don't get, my generation, people that I know that are 40 sometimes didn't get that. We were told, we were sold, and it was ingrained into us from the time we were in grade school until we're out of high school. You go to college so you don't have to work. You get the degree, you get a cushy job. You could just pay somebody that's not as brilliant and amazing as you are to do those jobs. Well, it turns out that they figured out how to make something even more brilliant than a person to do a lot of these jobs that used to require degrees. So people are work adverse, but it's not because I think intrinsically we're just lazy or whatever. I think it has to do more with, as people got more comfortable being able to afford to pay other people to do their labor, and especially with how reliant people have become with a lot of different forms of migrant labor, we just stopped teaching people how to have that work ethic. And then now we're at a point where there are not as many people as we need to have that work ethic. So we're just going to replace it with AI or with robots or whoever.
Yeah, well, I don't know. My experience with AI has been, it might be a super Google, but at least so far in my experience, that's where it stops. I'm sure I don't know how to use it to all of its advantage. I'm not sure I want to. I want to remain a thinking person. I don't want to have a computer thinking for me. I appreciate the rapid integration of data. The problem is I found it wrong on some data points it's collected where I know the facts and I've just tested it, which is a frightening thought. But it's something that we all need to keep on our minds. And look, I am concerned, and I think all of our great conservatives out there, even if they're mad at me for our discussion on women and men and our various roles in society, wow, still battered and bruised from that in the second hour. But you might want to listen to the podcast if you're just joining us. All of the very good people that are in the News Talk STL universe are going to want to contribute to our food drive. That starts on Monday, and the holiday food drive starts. And we'll team up with the St. Louis County Republican Central Committee. It'll be benefiting Feed My People. I know that group very well. It's a fabulous group. And it'll start on Monday and goes through December 21st. So the barrels can be found at all three Bartolinos, at Chris's Pancake and Dining locations, and Michael's Flooring Outlets, all three of those. So make sure that if you're in those neck of the woods, jump on the website, newstalkstl.com. Check it out. You can then link to those sites, find out where those locations are. And look, a lot of us are very blessed, and there's a lot of people that are struggling, sometimes by no fault of their own. And I don't think any of us have a problem with supporting those people, even through a government program, if that's what's necessary. And there's a lot of people that are being thrown out on their butts without anything to eat for their kids. And so this will be a way to help them until the knuckleheads in Congress can figure out what to do. So please keep them in your thoughts and your plans and your prayers. What does it take to drop off some peanut butter and cans of tuna and some nutritious stuff, Doesn't take much. Holiday food drive starts the 10th, okay? And I guess the other thing that we do want to cover before we run out of time here, we're out of time. We got to run. My gosh, where'd the time go? Well, I guess there'll be a little time if the powers that be will let us come back on the air on Saturday. You think they will, Jerome?
We're gonna take a small beating, but I'm sure we'll be back.
Okay, well, we'll check with the bosses and see if they'll let us come back on Saturday. And for those of you whose feathers we ruffled, stay in touch with us. DM me through X at Randy Tobler MD, or on our Facebook page, of course, on News Talk STL. We'll plan on seeing you next time on the Tobler Show. Stay tuned for On the Money with Bob and Eric.
Hey, firearms enthusiast, looking for a family and veteran-owned shop with a wide selection of products and services? Head to DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green. DG Firearms has been your one-stop shop for custom ARs, Cerakoting, laser engraving, gunsmithing, suppressors, ammo, and reloading supplies. DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green, and online at dgfirearmsllc.com.
When water troubles strike, call the family you can trust. Tim Jones here for Ambassador Plumbing, serving our community since 2018 with 25 years of master plumbing expertise from Tim Morris and his handpicked team. Whether it's a simple faucet repair or a complete bathroom remodel, if water runs to it or through it, they do it. From residential service calls to commercial to new construction, the folks at Ambassador are your neighbors treating you like family. Ambassador Plumbing, where faith meets craftsmanship. 636-383-6932 or ambassadorplumbing.com. That's Ambassador